I am going to attempt to mirror my screen. Let's see if I can. Flip. Nope, that flips it front to back. Oh, well, whatever. It'll be okay. Yeah, it's backwards, but everybody will get to see the new design. Yeah, it's backwards, but everybody will get to see the new design. All right. I really don't need to talk so loud in these things. Change your top chat to live chat. Yo, KZ, what's up, man? Nice to see you here. Jay is in the house. I see you. Yo, we're just getting started, everybody, obviously, and making sure everything is the way that it is. Sorry about that. But yeah, hope everybody's doing well. We're just getting things kicked off here. Kimberly is in the house. Larry says good morning. Morning. And Dorothy set up a 70 yesterday. That's exciting. Very cool. Nice to see that people are setting up new tanks and things. Jamie's here. What's going on? We got a lot of YouTube channel members in early in the stream this time. Thank you all so much for your support. We really appreciate that. We would definitely not be able to do this at this point anymore without your support. It means the world to us. And it is literally the thing that's allowing us to continue doing this, so if not for that, all this would be finished up and it would be over already. So thank you much. Anyway, Jason's in the house. The tank is looking amazing. I did clean the glass this time. So we're going to hit a tank tour on the hour marks, if I remember. Yeah, if you're still here, try to remind me, and Sandy's going to help remind me too. Coffee's coming shortly. New shirt design is in the merch store. I mean, how good does that look? It's so much better than what I had designed. Sandy designed this, and I think it looks absolutely amazing. I know it's backwards for you guys, but you can at least see the design. It's in the merch store if you want to pick one of these up. I really like the new artwork and all that stuff. Hello, John. Nice to see you. Hope everybody's doing well on this Sunday. We're going to get things kicked off with something that has been annoying the crap out of me lately. And it's people telling other people that if they can't afford XYZ thing, then maybe they shouldn't be in the reef keeping hobby. And I'll tell you what, that grinds my gears, man. It's annoying, people forget that geography plays a role in all of this stuff. There are corals that you can get in the Philippines for super cheap that are very expensive here in America, and vice versa. There's equipment that you can get here in America that you cannot get, or it's very expensive in other places in the world. And we just need to, as a hobby, stop telling people that if they can't afford a certain piece of equipment or a certain animal, that this is not the hobby for them. That is crap, and it drives me crazy. Stephanie says, hello, how often? Oh, sorry, I hit the send button, but that's okay. I guess you got a question coming, and we'll answer that soon. But yeah, it's driving me crazy. I've seen it like a half a dozen times just today. So it's super annoying. I don't know. I think we need to stop gatekeeping the hobby. If somebody can't afford a $75 Hannah checker for the one thing they're having a problem testing, that doesn't mean they shouldn't be in the hobby. Maybe we should be offering them other options, I don't know. Anyway, off my soapbox. Coffee, have that. All right, how do we say your name? Aoi? Yeah, sorry, I don't know how to say your name. KZ says, I'm very good with freshwater tanks, but reef tanks are a whole different world. Absolutely, they really are. We don't pay as much attention to chemistry in freshwater as we do in saltwater. Now, you still do have to balance your pH, make sure it's correct, and do, check a couple of other things routinely, but saltwater is definitely a whole other world. People have said for years that we're not keeping fish and corals. We are keeping water. And if you keep good water, then everything else does pretty fine. And that's not really that far from the truth, to be honest with you. Robbie says, par meters. I cannot get access to a par meter to save my life, so I agree. I did get a doser yesterday, so that helps. Pronounced Avi. Okay, good. Thank you very much. I will try my best to remember that. What, babe? I probably have asked that before. I'm sorry. My memory is crap. You guys should see how much prep work I do before my videos just to make sure that I can remember what I'm talking about. But yeah, par meter for Arabe is very hard for him to get. You know, that's a thing. They're not available everywhere. You know, there's no reason why somebody should tell that person, oh, you can't get a par meter, so you shouldn't even be in the hobby. That's crazy talk. Anyway, the Jakes is back after 4 weeks. What's going on? All good in the still chilly and oh yeah, it is not chilly here. I worked outside yesterday on my property, clearing some bushes and stuff like that, from 9 a.m. till about 10:30, and that was a wrap. That was all I could take. It was like 100 degrees already, and the wind was not blowing, so it was just like hot. Anyway, glad to see everybody's hanging out. Stephanie says, how often should I add copepods to a new tank? My tank just finished cycling, and I added a jar of copepods, but I can't tell if they're still alive. Well, it's a good idea to add some. If you use live rock and you bring in corals and stuff, you're going to get them naturally anyway. But if you want to add them from a bottle, just add a few bottles over a period of, you know, a couple of months after the cycle has finished, and you're going to be good to go. Almost spilled my coffee. They are very difficult to see. The best way to see them is at night with the lights off. Put a flashlight or your phone flashlight or something on the side glass right next to the front glass, so it shines all the way down the length of the front glass. And you should see little tiny white dots just scurrying about on the glass, especially in lower flow areas. And if you can see those, then those are your copepods. But yeah, you could add a bottle or 2 bottles, you know, every couple of months or something like that for like the first 6 months or something. You don't have, it's not a specific thing. Just get some in there, really. Retep is in the house. How's it going? Let's see. Really cool to catch you live. Hope you're having a good day, Logan. Thank you very much, EC. Nice to see you here. We do this every Sunday from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock Central Standard Time. So if you ever want to make sure that you're here, that's when we do them. Euro Thunder says, 4 months into my reef tank hobby, I find out how negatively 200 pounds of reef rock can be for my tank. I learned about high phosphates and have been cleaning up my 4-month mistake for almost 2 months. The rocks keep leaching phosphate. It can happen. It can happen for sure. Definitely can. KZ is in Jordan, and everything is expensive for saltwater. Yeah. You know, it's everything is expensive for saltwater here too. But in other places, it's even more so expensive. And in some places, you're just very limited on the things that you can get. The Jakes says, difficult to stay on top of all during the time away. Unfortunately, lost a male clown reply. Yeah, that sucks, man. That sucks. Irabe says, do you have any experience with heliofungia? Ask on the Facebook group as well, and they sounded pretty hard to keep. I just got one. I'm fairly scared. They are fairly difficult corals to keep. And I don't actually personally know what the reasons are that makes them difficult, but I think that it's probably got something to do with the availability of food. Some corals, let's take starfish for example, like the feather. What are they called? The starfish that look like feather dusters. I don't remember the name, but anyway, it's the ones you'll see them. They're red and they move around by moving their arms and flowing and stuff. It's not a basket starfish. It might be a feather starfish. Yeah, those are very hard to keep because of the availability of food in the water. You basically have to dose phytoplankton to the water constantly. And I suspect that feather star, yeah. I suspect that heliofungia is kind of the same thing. We just don't have the ability to give them the foods that they need. Although we have a lot better foods coming out on the market now than we've ever had before. And it might be a thing that changes. Goniopora was like that. That was one of the corals that we couldn't keep for a very long time, many decades. People could never really be successful with Goniopora, but we can be now because of the foods that we have and the lighting that we have and stuff like that. So I think that it's probably got something to do with that. I do know that they're pretty difficult to keep, but I don't know exactly the reasons why. Scott started a tank about 3 weeks ago. When should I start adding in macroalgae and corals? Ammonia is finally down, but nitrite and nitrate are still high. So a couple of things, Scott. You can add corals. Be careful in the ones you choose. I've made a video about this. You can find it on my channel. You can add corals now. You can start putting a few things that are easy to keep, that are easy, very tolerant corals. You can start adding some of those now. Kenya tree, toadstool, xenia. A lot of people would say no because it's probably going to spread all over the tank, and that's true, but you can take it out. You can begin managing it and take some out. Mushroom corals, Duncan. What's the other one I'm trying to think of? Rock flower anemones are even pretty easy to keep. Blastomusa, there's just a few. Check that video out. But you can put corals in now. I would hold off on the macroalgae for a while. Let the tank continue to stabilize. We don't want to add macro to a tank that is already very low nutrient because it's going to begin sucking up those nutrients, and it's going to create a problem where you might strip the tank of all the nutrients that it has, and that's not good. We don't want to do that. So wait until your nitrate are like 10 and your phosphate are like 0.1, and you can see a sort of incline in the nutrients, and then you can begin introducing some macroalgae to the tank. The other thing I wanted to tell you, Scott, is if you have the presence of nitrite, that is falsely elevating the nitrate test kit. Nitrate test kits convert the nitrate back into nitrite, and then that's what they measure. So if you have nitrite, it adds to that measurement, makes the nitrate test false. So there's really no point in even testing nitrate until nitrite is actually 0. It's normal for nitrite to get a little bit hung up like that sometimes. Number one, it's not toxic to anything in the tank. It's not going to hurt anything. It's the marine environment inhibits the toxicity mechanism of the nitrite. So it's not toxic. Very different from freshwater where it's highly toxic. That said, you can add some bacterias. One of the ones that I like to use is Microbe Lift Night Out 2. Works very well to clear up nitrite. Fritz Turbo Start 900 is also a very good one. I find that both of them work exceedingly well to clear up nitrite and bring it down to 0. The Jakes. Pod culture, phytoculture is booming. Still struggle with brine shrimp. Any secrets on culturing the Artemia? I grew them to adult size and they clutched. Oh, so you're talking about having an ongoing culture of brine shrimp. No, I have never attempted to do that. Adult brine shrimp, unless you gut load them with something like spirulina algae or other phytoplanktons or something like that, they are basically nutritionally null. There's really nothing to them. They don't have enough body mass to contribute anything in the way of nutrition. So the only way that you can really use adult brine shrimp is if they're gut loaded with something good for the fish to eat. So you would grow them up to adults, and then you would put like phytoplankton or spirulina or something in the water. All the brine shrimp adults eat that, it gets into their stomach, and then you freeze them. And then that is very good for your fish because they like to eat brine shrimp, and then they get the benefits of those other things. But if you're talking about growing brine shrimp to adult, having them clutch and make more brine shrimp, I couldn't tell you, my man. I've never done that before. I don't have any information on that thing specifically. Yeah. It's a very interesting thing, though. It would be interesting project to take a look at. If you figure out how to do it, please let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts. KZ says the price of a bucket of salt costs as much as an employee's salary. That's why changing the water is extremely difficult. Man, that sounds like it's very detrimental to keeping a reef tank in Jordan. Oh, good question, Sai. Love this one. In your 28 years in the hobby, what product isn't available anymore that you wish was still available today? A product that isn't available anymore that I wish was still available today. You know what? So it actually is available, but they changed the formulation, or rather, they corrected a problem that was actually beneficial to reefing. So there's a product. It's made by a company called Kent, K-E-N-T. It's called Tech M, and it's a magnesium supplement. And back in the day, we would use Kent Tech M to get rid of algae. You could bring your magnesium up to like 1600 using that product, and it would get rid of the algae in your aquarium, Bryopsis specifically. And it doesn't do that anymore. And the reason that it doesn't do it anymore is because, well, let me restate that. The reason that it did work back then is because there was contamination in one of the elements that they put in the magnesium supplement, and it was very high in an element, and I don't recall which one it was. It was like vanadium or something. And because of that, it would kill the algae. They fixed the contamination and got it out of there, and it doesn't do that anymore. So yeah, that's one of the only things that I could really think of as a product, you know. But one of the things that I miss most about when I got into the hobby is back then everyone was DIYing everything. So like LED lights weren't even a thing. I remember the very first LED lights that started coming out onto the market, people were DIYing those. We were buying the 5-watt Cree LEDs and the aluminum heat sink panels, and we were soldering and wiring and adding drivers with pulse width modulators and all of this stuff to DIY our own LED reef keeping lights. And then, you know, companies, hey, look, there's opportunity in this market here. We could start mass producing these things. People will buy them. And now we have all the LEDs that we do. Protein skimmers. People were DIYing those things. Like more people would DIY their skimmers than would buy one. Algae scrubbers, same thing. People were DIYing those. The modern algae scrubber is not even a thing that we used to build. That was a secondary thing where it's a box with the lights and it's inside the box. The first thing that we used to do was create almost like a sluice box that had a very shallow downgrade to the other end. So the water flow was very slow, and it would pump water up to the box and it would run down the grade, and it'd be a very powerful light over the top of it, and it would grow an algae mat. It was called an algae turf scrubber. We would grow turf algae and stuff. And yeah, everyone was DIYing everything, and it was freaking awesome because you never knew what you were going to see. You would log into Reef Central or one of the other, what was the other one? I'm trying to remember the name of the forum. It wasn't Reef to Reef. It was something else. There was Reef Central and there was one other like really popular one. Anyway, you would log in and somebody will have built like a 6-foot tall, like downdraft skimmer, and they put like tons of research into the Venturi design and like carved it out of wood and then negative molded it in silicone and poured plastic. It was crazy what people were doing, and we just don't see that much anymore. You know, some people still DIY a little stuff here and there, but not nearly like it used to be. What's going on, Andrew? Nice to see you here. Scott says, thanks. No problem, bud. Hope it's doing well for you. We have ourselves our first super chat. Thank you so much, Robbie. Beard looking great. Actually need to cut this thing. It's getting a little out of hand, if I'm being honest with you. Thank you for that super chat. It really means a lot. One thing we're going to do, just like we did last week, if we get to 10 super chats or a combination of super chats and super stickers, then those 10 different people will be entered to win a code to join a Zoom call that we're going to be doing in August for free. Yeah, so not my consultation, it'll be the group Zoom meeting. So yeah, that's what we're going to do with those. Yeah, the ones in August are going to be all about corals. We're just going to talk about corals as much as we can in August. No question is stupid. So yeah, Brandon just moved a fish out of a display to treat for ick. Any tips for the display tank to keep the corals happy? Feed the tank or anything? So yeah, you could keep doing your water tests in your tank as long as you have nitrate and phosphate that are staying at the levels where you want them to be. Then you don't have to do anything. If your nitrate and phosphate begin to decline, then you have multiple options of things you can do. You can either ghost feed the tank, just put some fish food in there, let it decay, become ammonia, it becomes nitrate and phosphate. I don't like that reason. It's uncontrollable. You can dose nitrate and phosphate directly to the aquarium through the use of products like Brightwell Neo Nitro and Neo Phos, or DIY products. And I have a write-up about that on my website, reefrookies.com. You can go there, you go to the education tab, go down to the Reefing Insights tab, and look for the article about DIY saving money tips and stuff. Or you can find the video on my YouTube channel here, either one. Or as an alternative, you could ammonia dose the tank and see how that goes. You know, that could be a thing that does well for you. If you're going to do ammonia dosing to the tank, it is not ammonium chloride like we use for cycling. It's ammonium bicarbonate. And there's a product that has come out on the market here recently by Microbial Marine called Nitrous. And it's a combination of ammonium bicarb and urea. And it's a natural ammonium supplement that you can put into the tank that corals can uptake for food and fuel and stuff like that. So those are some options. But if nitrate and phosphate are remaining at a good level, then don't worry about any of that. Just let the tank run. We got another super something. Euro Thunder says, no Zoom meeting for me. But could we have a quick tour of your huge tank in the background? Yeah, I'm going to do a tank tour in about 38 minutes. So you guys just hang out with us. We do a tank tour at the 1 hour and the 2 hour mark of the live stream. Yeah, so just chill with us and hang out for a little while. And we're going to do that tank tour in a bit. Unless you have to like leave. If you Thunder, if you got to go, and you want to see the tank now before you have to leave, let me know, and then we'll do that because you did a super chat. So I appreciate that. You got time? Awesome. Thanks for hanging out with us. I really appreciate it. Yeah, we're going to hit that at the 1 hour mark. And I cleaned the glass today so we can see really well. Andrew, do you have to run a chiller in your tank during the summer months? I imagine it's pretty hot there. It is hot here. The forecast today is 105 Fahrenheit. But being in Louisiana, all of our homes are equipped with oversized HVAC unit. So even though it's 105 degrees outside, it's 74 in the house. So we don't have to run chillers down here. Unless you're running metal halide lighting. In that case, then yeah, you probably do. But yeah, no, I don't have to run a chiller. I run two 800 watt heaters, as a matter of fact, because the ambient air is 74 and I want my tank to be at 76.5. So I have to run heaters to make sure that it does that. Jason says my nitrite is stuck. Yeah, you can unstick it. Well, Jason, tell me where your nitrite number is first. Let's go with that, and then we will get there. Hal says brine shrimp equals head lettuce for people. I have no idea what that means. Okay, though. I loaded them with spirulina and phyto. Great. Yeah, then sounds like you got the thing going there. I'd like to create an RFA garden. How far would I space them apart, or will they move if they are too close? Rock flower nymphs actually really like to touch. I've got 3 that we're going to see right down. Well, actually, I've got 4, but one's not near the other ones. Yes, I've got 3. I had to check. I've got 3 right down here that we're going to take a look at when we do the tank tour in a little bit. You can put rock flower nymphs really close to each other. They do not care about touching. They actually kind of prefer it, it seems. So, you know, every 3 or 4 inches on your rock flower garden, do that. If you feed those guys a couple times a week, they will get big quick. This one I've had for about 4 years, and he's probably 8 or 9 inches across. It's one of the biggest rock flower nymphs I've ever seen. And I'm happy that he's mine. Yo, Camaro, what's up, my friend? Larry says Marshall Island Live Rock. Okay. Ghetto Reefer, what's going on, my friend? Brendan says, I just ordered my first acros. Any tips to keep them from dying? My digitata and other plating montes have been doing great. Acropora, they really demand stability out of your tank. Your par has to be good, very strong in most cases for most Acropora. And really, y'all know we say these names wrong, right? Acropora is not Acropora. It's Acropora. And like it's Montipora and Pasillopora. We say them wrong. So anyway, that's the way they're supposed to be stated. But anyway, I digress. You ever seen that guy on TikTok? Anyway, my wife likes him. He's funny. He's in New Orleans, yeah. What was I talking about? Acros, yeah. So they really demand stability out of the tank, and they also like it when the parameters are in very close balance to one another. So, like for example, if you have really high nitrates and phosphates, up 20, I would not run an acro tank with nitrate any higher than 20. You're like pushing it. Some people do, but I don't have good results with it. But let's just say, for example, your nitrate and phosphate are kind of high. Your pH is 8.3, 8.4, 8.5. Then you can run your alkalinity a little higher too. You could run, 9.5, 10, 10.5 alkalinity, and your growth is going to be phenomenal. But on the flip side of that, if your nitrate and phosphate are low, let's say your nitrate is 2, your phosphate is barely detectable, but it's there, your pH is 8.0, then you would want to run your alkalinity down around 8, 8.5, a little lower in the range. You want to keep things balanced like that, because everything plays a role together. Oftentimes we get hung up in reef keeping with certain elements doing certain things, but the balance of all the elements and all the nutrients together is maybe even more important than individual things on their own. If you have very low nutrients and very high alkalinity, you end up with alkalinity burn, and it actually hurts the corals. If you have very high nutrients but very low pH and very low alkalinity, you're not going to get any growth despite all those nutrients being there. They're just gonna sit and be stale and not grow. So stability is number one. Make sure things are not swinging around, moving around. And number 2 is balance. I have a video that talks about parameter balance on my channel. If you type that in the search on my channel, you should be able to find it. You might have to type in the word wrong, because I think that's the one that the thumbnail says you're doing it wrong. Yeah, my thumbnails are designed to get clicks, so y'all just keep that in mind, okay? But anyway, that's the basic idea: stability and balance, and proper par, of course. Let's see what else we got here. KZ Tropical says, adding Epsom salt to a saltwater aquarium to replenish magnesium, is it considered beneficial? So, yes, you can use Epsom salt to replenish magnesium, but Epsom salt is, which one is it? Is it magnesium chloride or magnesium sulfate?
You always mix them
I know, I can't remember. It's either magnesium sulfate or magnesium chloride. I think it's magnesium chloride. Anyway, I digress again. The better magnesium supplements are a balanced blend of those two magnesiums, chloride and sulfate. Epsom salt is only one part of that, right? So it would be better if you could get both kinds and mix them. There's a recipe that you can find online if you Google the following term: Randy Holmes, Holmes, Farley, DIY magnesium. You could probably also just Google DIY magnesium reefing supplement and dig around a bit and find it. Also, I have it on my website under you go to my website, reefrookies.com, education, reefing insights, that same blog about DIY saving money, all that stuff, it's under there. So check that out. Please hit the like button to show appreciation. Thank you. Seja? I hope I'm saying that right. Yo, Coco is in with the super thumbs up. Thank you so much, Coco. If you have a question or something, let me know. But otherwise, I mean, anyway, I really, really appreciate the super chats and donations and everything, people. It really super matters. Super chat, super matters. See what I did there? Let's see. What is your take on dosing All for Reef? All for Reef is an excellent product if you have a bit of a smaller tank. For my tank, like this 180, it's 250 or so gallons total system volume. With the amount of consumption that I have in the tank now, it begins getting very expensive to do it with All for Reef. And I just learned this yesterday. I thought that All for Reef dosing was based on alkalinity, but as it turns out, you can base it on alkalinity or calcium. There's two different ways that you can kind of run that program. It's a good product, though. It will help you with some of your trace elements, and it'll help keep your calcium and magnesium and alkalinity in check. What people seem to find, though, is as the tank matures and the consumption ramps up, a lot of people have to end up supplementing more magnesium because the AFR just can't keep up with the magnesium demand. So, but yeah, it's a great product. A lot of people use it with success. Weld is in the house. What's going on, my friend? Camaro says, I still have all my old Cree LEDs from when I DIY'd my own lights. Yeah. Josh, you're 30 minutes late, my friend, but that's okay. We got 2.5 hours left to go. J-Rod says, have you seen Ants Canada's new jump into saltwater? I have not been able to watch it yet. I kind of don't want to watch it because it's probably going to make me mad. Because that dude, that guy is a special kind of person. And anything he touches, not only is it gorgeous, but it's YouTube gold. I wish that I had the skills that guy's got, because man, one of the first videos that I saw from his channel was the one where, and if you guys haven't seen this video, you need to go find it and watch it. And he built a self-sustaining biotope inside a terrarium. And it had vampire crabs in it. That's what he put in there first. It had vampire crabs. Well, he wanted to put something in there that would provide food for the vampire crabs so that he didn't have to keep feeding the crabs. So he found this lizard, right? Might have been a gecko, maybe, but it was a reptile, little small lizard type reptile. And they're all female, but they clone themselves and they make babies of the same lizard. And they do so without needing males. There's no mating ritual or nothing like that. They just like repetitively replicate themselves. And so when they would do that, the lizards, they lived up in the canopy in this thing. And it wasn't huge. It like sat on an end table and it had a little pond in it, you know, with little fishes in the pond. It was amazing. So anyway, the lizards would replicate themselves and the crabs would eat the baby lizards, and the female lizards would just keep replicating themselves. And they lived high and the crabs lived low. And It was a literal self-sustaining biotope. He never had to touch it after he got it done. That was the first video I saw from that guy. Made me so mad. Because what do you mean you just created a self-sustaining ecosystem in your living room? I mean, we have ecosystems, but this thing is not self-sustaining. I have to feed it, I have to clean it, I have to do all these things. It had springtails in it and isopods in it and all of this stuff that would eat the crab poop and turn it into dirt, and it was nuts. The dude is incredibly talented. I'm going to get off that soapbox. But no, I haven't seen it. I want to see it, but I don't get to consume very much YouTube content. Usually, if I'm watching a YouTube video, it's to solve a problem that I'm having with like 3D printing, or I'm looking, you know, at a Minecraft build or something when I get a chance to play a little bit or whatever. But I don't get to watch a lot of videos, especially long ones. Hogs says, best advice on dinos, did a 3-day blackout, came back dosing tons of different bacteria, no help. Dose silica, no different. Phosphate 0.2, nitrate 20. Have 2 UVs, not helping. I'm going crazy. Okay. The first thing that I would recommend for you to do is to get microscopic identification of the species of dinos that you have. I have a video on that here on the channel. I have written information about that on my website. If you go to reefrookies.com, education, reefing insights, and under there you'll find one about dinoflagellates. Depending on the species, we can tailor a treatment specifically for that species. It's either going to be silica dosing with bacteria, or it's going to be UV. If your UV is not strong enough, it isn't going to work. So there's some nuance there that we would have to talk about. But the first step is microscopic ID, which can be difficult for some people, but you can get a pretty decent microscope on Amazon for about 120 bucks. Sometimes they discount them down to around $100. It's an awesome tool to have as a reef keeper. So yeah, you know, I have given thought to adding a service to my Etsy store. I would have to charge for it to be beneficial for me to spend the amount of time to do it all, especially with shipping and all of that stuff. But I've considered doing microscopy identification as a service. I don't know if people would be really interested in that or not, but by the time you ship me a thing, you know, and wait, you're 30% or 40% of the way to just buying a microscope for yourself, you know. But microscopic ID is your first step. That's what you're going to have to do now before you move on to doing anything else. Bike Life. Why is Duncan growing new polyps but doesn't seem like the skeleton is growing? So Duncans do that, man. They will pop new heads and like fill out before they grow out, you know? So you got to remember, most of what we get in this hobby in the way of corals are frags, and most of them have been freshly cut, you know? So somebody took a colony the size of a basketball and chopped all the polyps off of it, and now they have 200 individual Duncans to sell for $25 a piece. And when we get those corals, they were used to being in that colony, and now they're not. Now they're by themselves. They're on their own. They have to figure out how to do nutrient things again, because even though we cut them up and we cut the skeletons and all that and cut through some of the flesh, all of those polyps are connected to a central nervous system inside that big skeleton colony. So when we chop them up, it's kind of like chopping the tail off of a lizard that can regenerate its tail, right? It has to heal first before it begins to grow. And the first thing that it does is begin putting on more mass, and then it will gradually get the length. And corals are kind of the same way. When you frag a piece of acropora, right? Take a little acropora, you got a little colony, and you chop one of the branches off and you glue it to a frag plug. Even though that colony is growing at the tips and branching out, that new frag is not going to do that. The first thing it's going to do is heal. And once it's healed, then it's going to start expanding its tissue downwards, and it's going to cover the frag plug, and then it's going to cover the rocks. Once it has expanded its mass and really grabbed a hold of things, then it will revert and start growing back at the tips and branching out again. That's one of the things I see with people when they put SPS in their tank. They're like, my SPS looks fine, but it's been in the tank 4 months, but it's not growing. It probably is. It's just growing around the base, and it's not growing out yet. But the really cool thing about it is I have some. I'll show you in the tank tour if somebody reminds me or if I remember. So I have some that I put in my tank, and they're just starting to encrust around the frag plugs. But what's cool about it is once they encrust far enough that they've grabbed onto the rocks, they explode in growth off of the tips. Once they feel secure, like they've got a good base, they just go nuts after that. So that's probably what your Duncan's doing if I had to guess. Caleb says, can you do a brief explanation of phytoplankton? A guy near me sells a few different strains. He just cultures, but I'm confused whether it's just coral food or food that benefits the whole system. That is a really good question. Thank you for asking. So phytoplankton is on the bottom of the entire food web for the entire marine environment. But not only is it food for other things, they are microscopic filter feeders of the water column as well. So adding phyto to your tank does multiple things. You put the phyto in there, it's swimming around, it's consuming silicates and dinoflagellates. It's consuming other smaller organics than its own self, right? Mostly silicates and some other things and dissolved nutrient things, little pieces of fish food that are floating around in there, stuff like that. And by little, I mean like dissolved, like really little, like microscopic size. So they're eating all of that stuff. And then other stuff eats them, like corals. And there are some fish that eat phytoplankton, and starfish and clams and scallops and things like that will consume the phytoplankton. Also, phytoplankton can get on your substrates in your sand and your rocks and stuff like that. And it can kind of cruise around in there and it can eat things. So not only, as long as it's live, there's a bunch of dead phyto on the market too. Sometimes that's okay. But if you're talking about the benefits of live phyto, you have to make sure that it is live. And a lot of people grow it. It's really easy to grow, not that hard. Well, that depends on the phyto species. Some of them are harder to grow than others. Most of the time, the green phyto that you see people growing is either Nanochloropsis or Tetraselmis. It's Tetraselmis. That one's really super easy to grow, that normal green phyto. But there's others, there's brown and red and orange and yellow and different variations of those. But yeah, it's just, it's an organism that we put into the tank that establishes a link between the area of the food web that is smaller than themselves and larger than themselves. You know, a lot of fish cannot eat silicates, but they can eat phytoplankton, and corals do as well. So I hope that helps, you know. Let's see. Weld says, I think I'm finally moving in the right direction with the phosphate nitrate. Overfiltration was one issue. My tank was also super clean. Yeah. Yo, Jason Klein joined as a Copepod supporter. What you looking for, babe?
Craft stuff.
Oh, she got craft brain going. Jacob says, how long have you been reefing? About 28-ish years at this point. Something right in there like that. Kimberly says, we're hitting 110 Fahrenheit today. That's too hot. How can we get a t-shirt? Great question, Weld. So I'll do my blurb. For anybody who is here and you don't know who I am, my name is Logan. I run Reef Rookies, the most respectful reef keeping community on all of the internet. We hang out in a whole bunch of places. like here on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Discord. We have all of those spaces, which you can find from my website, which is www.reefrookies.com. There's a button on my website that says merch. You can go there, you can click that, and you can find these shirts and other shirts that we offer that help us be able to do this. You can even customize them too. They have a customization tool there. So if you pick a shirt and that you don't like where the design is, you can go into the customizing thing. And for example, you could like shrink it and put it just over the pocket or something like that if you wanted to make it look a little nicer, a little more professional. I think you can even flip flop them over to the back if you want. Like if you want it on the back of a hoodie or something, you could do that. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. Hoodies. Let me see your water cup, babe. There's hoodies. There's tumblers like this. You can get Reef Rookies on a tumbler like that. Pretty cool. You can get hats, pillowcases, dog shirts, baby clothes, onesies, all that kind of stuff is on there. So yeah, go to the website. Jason.
Support the mission. Merch.
Oh, sorry. I was corrected. You go to the website, then you go to support the mission, and then you go to merch. And thank you so much for asking. I appreciate it. Sai said, wait a minute, what I miss? Jason says 4 ppm. What were we talking about? I told you to give me a number. Nitrite. 4 ppm is right on the verge of being too much. 5 ppm and above can begin sort of stalling the nitrogen cycle. And given that our test kits kind of suck and they all have a deviation error that's pretty big, your tank could actually be over 5 ppm. So what I would tell you to do is, unless it's a massive tank, like my 180, if it's a smaller tank, 40, 50, even like 75 or whatever, unless it's a massive tank, do a 50% water change and bring that number down by about half, right? You got to get that number down first, and then you can add bacteria and stuff to the tank to help it process the nitrite. So that's what I would tell you to do, unless it's a huge tank. If it's a huge tank, then what I would tell you to do is get Microblift Special Blend, the big bottle, and just add it to the tank every single day based on their recommendations until the nitrite have come to zero. Excuse me, I had to take a break. Sai said, I had a coworker over 30 years ago into saltwater, and he was always talking about making a protein skimmer. Yeah. He was obsessed with making one and selling them. Tried to look them up, but no luck. Yeah. A lot of people had very good ideas back then, but even back then it was expensive to get like extruded acrylic plastic and things like that. So a lot of us just made them out of whatever we could. Like I made a downdraft skimmer one time just out of PVC, nothing else but PVC. And I mean, it worked. My hand hurts. Why does my hand, ow, it hurts really bad. Don't know why that hurts, but my hand hurts. So yeah, anyway, I miss the DIY days for sure. How do you manage your power? Oh, how do you manage the power from not causing the breakers to trip? Did you upgrade your breaker to a 30 amp? No. Actually, all of my aquariums except maybe one of them are all on the same circuit, and it's not a great idea, and I do need to address that. But yeah, and we moved some stuff in the kitchen too. This house evidently was designed by a moron, because all of that, and on the other side of my kitchen, we have a microwave and a small countertop air fryer oven. And when the air fryer and the microwave are both going at the same time, it trips the breaker and shuts down all the aquariums. So we don't do that anymore. To answer your question, yeah, that's how we manage that. But one of the things, this is probably going to be the house that we stay in forever. So one of the things that we're going to do, I am going to upgrade this tank one day. This tank is already like 15 years old. And they have a lifespan. So I'm going to upgrade one day. I might not be able to do the massive 1,800 gallon tank that I wanted to do, but probably like a 10 foot, like 350 or 400 might be possible. if I'm being realistic. And when we do that, we're going to have a sub panel dropped. We're going to have new wiring run, all that stuff, and get it on its own sub panel all by itself. Jason said nitrite is 2 ppm. Oh, well, at 2 ppm, just add some bacteria and let it rock. One of my troca snails got GHA on it. Neither crabs or shrimps have cleaned it. Should I intervene and clean it? You could take it out and you could do a spot treatment with hydrogen peroxide right on its shell. Don't let the hydrogen peroxide get on the snail, just in the shell. So hold him upside down and use a Q-tip to paint it on there. Or you could just lightly scrape his shell and try to get it off or whatever. I've done that before. Oh, the Marshall Island live rock is what Larry misses from back in the day. I never got any of that. I used to get live rock, but I got it from the fish store. But back then, the fish store was getting it from the people who had it in the ocean. You could go to the fish store and get live rock that had macroalgae and sponge and all that kind of stuff all over it. You just really can't do that anymore. Maybe in a couple places. Thanks for the beginning videos. Just pre-ordered my first reef tank and was skeptical due to the price of equipment. Thanks for the info and alternatives to help me enjoy the process. You are welcome. That encompasses probably 60% of the reason why I want to keep doing this, is to help people get in and enjoy the hobby. The other 40% was to provide a space where people can ask questions without being treated like crap. And we are accomplishing that goal. And so that's super cool. Yeah, Brendan, you're welcome. He said thanks for the tips. Deborah says, hey, love the info we get. What are your thoughts on dosing Alpha Reef? I literally just answered that question like 30 minutes ago.
I think, they were two different people.
Which is fine. It's just, it's funny that sometimes the same questions keep coming up, Alpha Reef is a great product. Sometimes if your aquarium gets to the point where you have a lot of consumption and you're dosing a lot of Alpha Reef, sometimes it can't keep up with the magnesium, and so you have to additionally supplement that. But usually, Alpha Reef and some water changes keep things where they need to be. But yeah, it's a great product. I don't have any problems with anybody who wants to use it. I don't have an issue with the product at all itself either. Mr. Nurse says, glad I found your channel. Going to be watching the videos before starting a reef tank. How many tanks do you have, and what made you get into reefing? Very cool question. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tanks currently running. They're not all saltwater. Well, they're all saltwater except one. If I turn this, we're going to do a tank tour, fish room tour, everything in about 10 minutes. But if I turn this, there's 3 of them over there. This one, let's see where my finger's at. That is a freshwater planted tank. This is a saltwater Pico wine glass tank. This other one is a QT tank, quarantine. And then I have my big 180 behind me. And then I have a 22-gallon all-in-one right here that is currently just on an extended blackout period because I'm killing algae that was in that tank. I'm experimenting with that tank to see what I can do to solve problems that are like the easiest thing, There's a couple corals in there, so I just turned the lights off. Lights have been off for like a month. I'm not going to turn them back on until the algae's all gone. And then on the other side of this wall, which we'll go see in just a little while, I have my sump and I have a 40-gallon refugium tank as well that's tied into the big tank you see behind me. And what made me get into reefing can be summed up in the name of one fish, the psychedelic mandarin dragonet. I went to a fish store, had a freshwater tank at the time. I was going to get some freshwater fish, didn't have anything in mind. Went to the store. The store still exists, by the way. I'm still friends with the owner. And, well, friends, but, we're cordial to each other. We don't like hang out on the weekend or anything. But I went there and I saw a mandarin dragonet in the saltwater side. And I had never considered saltwater because I always heard that it was really, really super hard. You can put thousands of dollars into a tank and it can die in a night, which is still true, by the way. So I never did it. and saw the Mandarin Dragonette. I was talking to the store owner. I'm like, what do I need to do to keep this fish? And she started telling me about everything there was, to do with setting up a saltwater aquarium. And I did months of research after that, thought I knew what I was doing, set up my very first saltwater aquarium, which was a 10-gallon tank. I got some live rock from the fish store, live sand from a bag, and then I couldn't afford the light. And even though I didn't have any corals in the tank, I was reading everywhere that you needed really, really powerful lights in a saltwater aquarium. So I got on Craigslist, I think. Maybe it was even before Craigslist. Somehow I ended up with a street light, a metal halide street light. And I took that thing all apart. I got the ballast out, got the reflector out, and sort of hodgepodged it together in a hood that stood up like 3 feet off the top of the 10-gallon tank. And it was a 400-watt metal halide. I put a 14K reef keeping 400-watt metal halide bulb in that thing and promptly cooked everything that I had put in that tank. I've made mistakes. I have. But anyway, yeah, that fish is what got me into saltwater. So would you consider phyto and copepods as the building blocks for your aquarium? They're part of them for sure. Yeah. They're higher up the food web than bacteria, which is what I would consider the absolute base of the aquarium. You have to have proper bacterial colonies in the aquarium for it to last and continue doing the things that we need it to do on a microbial level. But shortly above that are copepods and phyto. I do think they're a very good thing. Last week, you advised to use RoaPhos. I have, and my phos has dropped from 0.4 to 0.2, but seems to have stuck over the last 2 days. Do I change it out fully or add more to the bag? Change it out fully and continue to monitor. Don't let it drop below like 0.05. If it starts getting down there, discontinue the use of the RoaPhos and track it. And if it comes back up, put half the amount of the RoaPhos back in when you go back to use it the second time. It's annoying, but if the tank is producing that level of phosphate that when you quit the RoaPhos, it continues to go up, then it's a managing the phosphate situation until it's no longer doing that anymore. Like I said, it sucks. It's annoying. A freaking eyeball. Am I that far behind on the comments? Holy crap.
You always catch them up. You always get worried about that.
Yeah, I know. I always get caught up at the end, but I'm kind of far behind.
You got a tank tour in 5 minutes.
I got a tank tour and it says 3 on my, I started early. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, but you're going to be just managing the phosphate. So quit using it once it hits once it drops below 0.1, stop. And then track it for a week or 2 or 3 weeks. And if it starts to creep back up, go back in with like maybe even a quarter. It just depends on how far it goes up. And then just continue adjusting it until you find an even keel. The powdered AFR isn't bad. A $50 tub lasts me 4 months on my 180 with a bit of kalkwasser as well. Interesting. Interesting. Euro says his reef has tides. Arabe says, nah, Ants Canada will make you mad. He made some bad mistakes that we as a whole marine crowd would not agree with, in my opinion, and I'm no expert. Interesting. I'm definitely going to have to watch because, I don't know, maybe I could get the Ants Canada dude to like get me up there to help him make some decisions, and then I'll be on his channel, and then that's like millions of people. That would be awesome. Somebody tell him that. Or don't. Or maybe. I would have to get a passport. I don't have one. Day geckos. Oh my God. I'm like 30 minutes behind. Holy crap. Okay. Finally caught alive. Nice to see you, Eileen. Watching the Lagoon project. So a couple people have said I'm going to be mad. Okay. I'm going to have to go. I'm going to watch it today. I picked up a cabbage leather yesterday at my local coral shop. It's the size of a dinner plate for $150. Did I do a good deal? Yeah, I would say so. I mean, cabbage leathers aren't the most desirable pieces by most people, but I think they're still nice looking corals. What's up, Wild Wolf? Happy to see you, man. And thank you for the super. I appreciate that. It didn't pop up for me. That's weird. Pods love phytoplankton. Yes, they do. Wild Wolf wants to know what's the best and most colorful corals for beginners starting out? Probably, I mean, technically, anemones are not corals, but rock flower anemones are incredibly pretty. They come in tons of different colors, and they're pretty easy to keep. Aside from that, probably zoas or mushrooms are going to be the most colorful. When I do that, I'm looking at my tank. When I turn around like this, you guys get to see the back of my head for a minute. Yeah, I would probably say zoas, mushrooms, maybe blastomusas as well. Those would be good. Yeah. Yeah, man, get some of that merch. Well, I love that. Denny Green says, I found 2 tiny aptasia on a frag plug. How would you recommend removing it? They are smaller than the zoas they are on at the moment. Take the frag plug out and be very careful and paint super glue gel over the top of those aptasia. Just smush them down, paint them with super glue, and then put the frag plug back. They can't survive that. It'll kill them. They'll die. Jason had a massive water change already. Okay, good. Did you see Ernstrong? These, I think the same people built our house.
Oh, yeah, did see that one pop through. Yep.
Yeah. Hal is recommending a peppermint shrimp. I have mixed results with peppermint shrimp. Sometimes they eat aptasia, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they eat your $400 hammer. Don't ask me how I know. Okay, in transparency, it was not a $400 hammer. Yeah, it was a $40 hammer. But it could have been a $400 one. You never know. Just let me reel myself in here, make sure that I'm being honest. It was not $400. Currently doing a water change and plotting the demise of a neon dottyback. I don't want any part of that. Hello, Kelly. How you doing? Let's see. Recently joined the Facebook group, and it is indeed the most respectful and wholesome community. Love to hear it, Mano. Thank you so much for being in the community. And Kelly said, and Logan's wife, smiley face. Yes, yeah, she is amazing. You guys don't even know. Y'all get to see 1%. Weld says, I did get another tank, by the way, 120-gallon. Okay. X1C print's amazing. I told you. I told you. I'm in love with that thing. Lots of useless prints I made just because. Dude, look, you probably have already, okay? But go to Bamboo Studio and click library and just look at the crap that people have made. There's like hundreds of thousands of free models that you can print from Bamboo Studio for anything you can think of. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's not illegal. And even some of that probably is a little questionable. I have seen like kitchen knives that can be printed and then acetone washed so that they get shiny and then sharpened, and it's a legit kitchen knife, you know? Tank tour time. Gotcha. Okay. Is sea chem phytoplankton a scam? It's not a scam, but it is dead. It's not live phytoplankton. It is dead phytoplankton, and it is absolutely packed full of phosphate. So I wouldn't use it myself. But yeah. So I guess we'll start with the planted freshwater, and we'll just do a tank tour on all of them. So if we come over here, this is the little planted freshwater tank. The only fish in here, there's one little betta fish. You can see his little face poking out down there. And there's 4, there they are, 4 little dwarf corridoras in here. These guys are about maybe an inch long at the most. This tank has been running for about 4 years or so since we reset it last. So yeah. Oh, by the way, these ATO brackets, they're going to be coming to the Etsy store real soon. They hold up a bottle like this, but they're not quite ready yet. This threaded portion for this bolt right here is being a pain in my butt. but I'm trying to get it. This is my saltwater wine glass aquarium. And for the more astute of you who pay attention to things, you will notice that I have put mushrooms in here. These are St. Thomas mushrooms. I need to clean the glass, but wow, my screen is very jerky around. But we got, I am on the right internet, yeah. We got a, this is a purple stylo. Got a little Montipora digitata in here. You can see those nice growth tips right on there. That's looking good. And a bunch of this stuff, the pulsing zinnia is going to go to one of my moderators here soon. He's setting up a new tank and he wants to get some pulsing zinnia. So I'm going to send him some of that. And then this is the main inhabitant. It's a harlequin shrimp. And unfortunately, these guys only eat starfish, which is why this tank is set up over here very simply. And you can't really see it, but well, now you can. There's a chocolate chip starfish up there that's missing some limbs. I don't like it, but unfortunately, I had got the harlequin shrimp to take care of a starfish pest issue in the main tank, and now I have him, and I have to take care of him. And here's the big dog over here. We'll start on this side this time. One of my favorite, oh wait, let me get my orange lens. Yep. Boom. Orange lenses make such a difference. So yeah, one of my favorite fish in the world is this guy. I love chalk bass, and he is a chunky sucker. Oh, they're all acting like they're hungry. You guys already been fed today. So let's go over here. So rainbow stylo right there in the front that is still coloring up. This is a Walt Disney acro that's going to plate out for me before it goes up. That is a frilly green acro. And I just saw the other day that, I don't know if we can see it. Hang on. Yeah. Down there by the base of my feather duster, if I can zoom in, there's another feather duster down there. So we're going to have two. Yep, there you go. You can see it. So we're going to have two feather dusters soon. These are Jason Fox. What are they called? Jason Fox pinwheel candy canes. Very pretty coral. Very nice, bright green kind of stripy thing. Love that thing. This is an Australian gold torch. A little bit different than most of the torches we get from Indonesia. It has a much bigger polyp. It's also almost grows like a wall hammer. But yeah. And these guys, I still don't know what species these black things are. I think they're damsels, but they might be chromies. I've got 3 of them. I can't be sure. All the fish are up in my face right now. What are you doing, bud? There he goes. So this is a pink bird's nest. What? What?
The 2-spot swam in front of the camera and then went.
Oh, yeah.
It was the perfect little, look at you. It was like,
This is the little 2-spot. Anyway, pink bird's nest. This is a Spongiotis, which is kind of like an acro, but not really, but super easy to keep. And this is a hairy green pavona cactus coral back there. Smooth skin acro. That is, this one always looks super blown out. It's more purple in person. That's a Garf bonsai, like that thing. Pincushion urchin, can't have enough of those. And I'm very happy to report this coral, you can see the diagonal line where it had receded further back down the stem of the coral during the high phosphate event. And you can see sort of how far it's recovered since then. So it's pretty cool. So about halfway down where it gets a little darker, that's where it had receded back to. And so it's grown back probably 3 or 4 millimeters since then. So it's recovering, and it's recovering with the green and the red. So I'm really hopeful. And you can see the growth tips on the bottom. I'm really hopeful that thing's going to turn into a beautiful piece. And another little funky green acro that I don't really know what it is. This is a blue-tipped acropora. Love that thing. Can't wait to grow it out to a full colony. I don't remember what that one's called, but it's pretty. It's green and kind of has like purpley gray tips. And this thing is going to take over the entire overflow box back there. This is also a Spongiotis. This one's slime ball, I think, if I'm not being mistaken, which could happen. Got a Blasto, Holy Grail Micromucil. Let's see if we can get a good picture of that guy. Man, the fish just won't leave me alone. There we go. Holy Grail Micromucil. Super pretty. Take the filter away. Yeah, super pretty coral. All my Micromucil down here are all recovering, but they're all recovering quite nicely. They got really mad with the high phosphate event a couple months ago, but they're all coming back around. They're starting to look. Get out of the way, fish. Oh my God. They're starting to look puffy again, so that's good. This one had almost completely died. I got more candy canes over here. I have not seen Scoop Dog in a couple of days. I think he might have kicked it. I don't know. He wasn't getting enough to eat, I guess. This is a purple and yellow Blasto. Hard to get a good accurate color on this thing, but super pretty. I like that guy. Galaxia, which is very potent, very powerful coral. Got a hairy mushroom back here that bleached out on me, so I'm not sure what color it's going to be when it comes back around. And another Pavona cactus. This is a purple one. Big Duncan. That acro. Oh, yeah. Remember earlier I was talking about encrusting around the base? So you can really see that very well with this guy. Get out of the way, fish. So you can see it very well on this coral. This is a Wolverine acro. So it's going to be bright yellow, kind of green, and have purple polyps. And you can really see that growth out onto the frag plug. And it's actually wrapping around the bottom of the frag plug about to get to the rocks. Let me show you. Okay, yeah. So this one, you can see it's gone well onto the rocks. Get out of the way, fish. My hand's getting tired of holding up the camera. But you can see very clearly that it has gone past the frag plug and is onto the rocks now. And then the growth on the top is just like exploding. There's another couple that you can see real good. The Garf, the bonsai. Yeah. You can see how it's down around the rocks on the bottom. But like, for example, oh, the one back there too. Yeah. So let me zoom in. Yeah, you can see those bits that are coming down around on the rocks and stuff. But for example, the Walt Disney has not done that yet. It's still on the frag plug. That's why it's not really growing right now, because it's still trying to establish itself. But once that thing gets off of that plug and grabs a hold of those rocks, it's going to be on after that. So let's see. What else do we have? I've got a Project X fungi plate down here. Normal orange discosoma mushrooms. Those are St. Thomas mushrooms. Very pretty. They look just kind of orange right now, but they have a lot of green in them. There you go. So real pretty. Got some Rostazoas, and these I can't recall the name of, but they're just kind of blue-green. This freaking thing is supposed to be mounted right there on that frag. You can see where it came from. But for some reason, the skeleton is dissolving on this torch. This is the one that had BJD. And so I'm not sure if that had played a role in it or what, but yeah. So a couple of other torches. This is sorry about that. I keep getting the thing all wrong. I think this is a Dragon Soul. No, maybe this is the Dragon Soul. And this is a New York Knicks. I don't remember. But then a Holy Grail. And then this is a Blacklight torch. And just some cheap hammers. Nothing special. That is a very large Aptasia that I need to handle. And then my rock flower Nims. The big like 8 or 9 inch one. Got a green one back here. Orange one up there. And I actually have another one back there too. And then another cheap hammer that's all bleached out. I put... Uh-oh. I hope I didn't push a button and mess up the sound. Can you make sure on the chat that this... Uh-oh. I hope I didn't push... Okay, sounds good. All right, good. So, yeah, and then, so there's some other corals up here. This acro, if I can zoom in, I'm super excited about that guy. I won't focus on it. There we go. Yeah, see how it's encrusting over the bottom, headed to the rocks? This thing's going to be exploding soon too. This is a rock candy acro, and I can never remember who I got it from. I got it at Reefapalooza. But yeah. And then the big bird's nest that came out of the wine glass tank went in here is already encrusting on the rocks and stuff where it's touching. But I think I'm going to move this little acro that just doesn't seem to be growing at all. I think I'm going to move it somewhere else, and I'm going to put that big bird's nest right off of the tip of that end of the rocks. Just let it be out here, sort of in this area. So yeah, that is the tank tour on the main tank. All the corals and everything looking really nice. A lot of these I could already be fragging if I wanted to, but I want to grow them out into bigger colonies. Oh, here's a great example. You can really see the acro growth on this one from the frag plug to the rocks. Look, man, move. Thank you. So yeah, you can really see where it came off of the plug and is on the rocks, and it's after that, it's finally starting to go. In person, this thing is very like blue, green with like deep purple underneath. It's really pretty. It's hard to get good pictures with this this clip on in this streaming sort of mode. Okay, cool. And this tank was looking terrible. It had dinoflagellates and it had algae and all kinds of other stuff. So there's still some coral in here. There's some mushrooms, blasto, another blasto, and some firework clothes and stuff. But yeah, we're blacklighting this tank for a while. And this back here, if you've never seen it, is my fish room where all my crap is. And so from the big display in the front, all the pipes come down into here, into the sump. All my dosing and controlling and all of that stuff happens in here. And then this is a 40-gallon sort of planted mixed refugium. There's corals in here and anemones and an alardi clownfish and a sailfin molly, and then macroalgae of different kinds. Check this guy out. He's got his feelers out going kind of, wow, that zoomed in really far. So yeah, looks pretty cool. And then there's lots of Aptasia in here. Got a big Hollywood stunner chalice back here. This is basically just a junk tank. This is where all the extra stuff goes. I'm sorry about the zoom, everybody. It's doing a weird thing. Okay. Now, this is a Pop Bloom RL 115. And if you didn't see my most recent video, I'm going to be giving this light away to somebody, probably in the live stream next Sunday. The way that you enter into the drawing to get the Pop Bloom light is to go to our website, reefrookies.com, scroll all the way to the bottom of the website, and put your email in that box down at the bottom of the website. That's it. That's all you have to do. And you will be entered to win. And then probably next Sunday when we do the live stream, we will pick a winner and let you know by email. So pretty cool. Tank tour's done. I'm going to take a short break, get some water, and replenish my coffee and get a cough drop. I'm so far behind on the comments.
You're good. Comments have everybody's just been looking at the tank. So
Okay,
good.
good deal.
You had a few pop through, but
Yeah, we'll get back to the comments here in just a second. I do need to get some water right quick though.
there you go. And our handy dandy Reef Rookies merch.
Mm-hmm.
Water cup.
Yeah. All right. Let's get everything reset here. And we'll get back to answering people's questions. Okay, cool. So take over right where we left off. And Robbie says, thank you for being so easy to get. I've been through BRS, TSA, and all the other channels, and you're the most straight to the point, easy to understand, and easy to listen to. You make sense. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's just kind of how I am as a person, I guess. I can take complicated things and break them down into ways that make them seem a little less complicating. I have to do that for myself to understand things. So that's how I try to give my information too. It works for me. So I hope that, and obviously for some people, it works for you all as well. Happy Sunday, John. Nice to see you here. Thank you much. Jason says that's because he's not trying to sell you anything. Just a dude passionate about reefing and helping people. True to a point. True to a point. There's a few little things that we're trying to do to make some extra money, you know, my 3D prints and things like that. And I mentioned them, and look, here's the thing. There was a certain company years ago that did a very long series that taught people how to run a reef tank. But if you took a notebook and you sat down and went through that series and wrote down everything that they said you had to buy, when you got to the end, you had a $12,000, $10,000 build on your hands. So that is, ouch, that was hot coffee. That's not something that I'm interested in trying to do. I am interested in getting into some product manufacturing. I've got a couple of really cool ideas that I think people would take very well to. I'm not going to say what they are, but yeah, I don't know. We're far off from that still. PO4 gets locked in your rocks. Yes, it can. And as you drop the PO4 in the water, the rocks will still be releasing it. You're absolutely right. That can happen for sure.
They were commenting that. I think we were talking about the Rowaphos.
The Rowaphos, yeah, we were talking about the stability thing. Yeah, that's one of the factors. I always have a mustache hair that's bugging me. I really need to trim this thing up. It's ridiculous. It's kind of cool though. But that's one of the factors is the rocks can absorb a lot of the phosphate. Then they reach a saturation point where they stop, and then it kind of goes back the other way. They start releasing it back into the tank, and you fight it for a while. Yeah. Josh Kiefer says, just a huge thank you for all your help. Oh, wait. Okay, yeah. I was just talking about that. Yeah, no problem, Josh. I'm behind on the comments, everybody, for quite a bit, so just bear with me. Kelly's thinking about switching from kalkwasser reactor and just dosing soda ash on a doser with dosing the other elements. I get better pH results from the soda ash versus the kalkwasser. So kalkwasser has a saturation point where you can add some, and then it reaches a certain saturation and it can't hold anymore in the water. And if yours is not at that saturation point, you might see a better pH boost from the soda ash. They're not that dissimilar from one another, really, the kalk and the soda ash. But if you want to switch to doing the soda ash, that's okay. Jason says, all of those videos start with a key topic, then big and confusing words, and then what you need to buy and fix said issues. They can be informative, but it's clear they're trying to push the product. Yeah, I felt the same way when I watched that series that we're talking about. Brandon has a Planet 120. Really just want to use all for Reef. I'll switch to ESV if I have to. It depends completely on what you put in the tank. So you could probably run most mixed reefs on just all for Reef and water changes, right? But if you go really heavy on fast growing acropora, that might not keep up. You might have to begin adding something else. It really just depends. I made a video recently with Andy Boma from Reefability app. Very good app, by the way. He didn't pay me to say that, just for transparency. But he has a mixed reef tank, softy tank, that he is running, and he only tests for nitrate, phosphate, and salinity, and he does a 40% water change once a month. Beautiful tank. It's gorgeous. But there's nothing in it with a skeleton. Everything is a softie or an anemone. So, it can be done. It all just matters what you put in the tank. Nola Ant says, how do you feel about giving locals, and when shipping acros 1 tablespoon of potassium chloride? Oh, so you're talking about putting a tablespoon of potassium chloride in the water that you're shipping the acros in? Honestly, I don't know. I've never looked at shipping corals. It's never something that I've been interested in doing. I haven't had a tank in a few years that had grown out to the point where I could begin fragging. And back then, we didn't really do that. So I don't know. Maybe it's beneficial. I really couldn't say. What's up, Taper? Nice to see you here. Look, I got a question, Taper. Does the word taper in your name have anything to do with gauging, like ears? Because I'm gauging mine right now. I'm just curious. I'm not doing tapers. I'm dead stretching. So, big up, Logan, living legend of the hobby. That's pretty high praise. I don't know if I would say legend, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. Jason Klein says, I run a 3D printing business. It's crazy what you can make. We have 20 plus printers. I have 4. On my way to 20, I hope. I would like for the 3D printing side of the business to grow. If it grows any more than it is now, we're going to have to permanently keep the door to my 3D printing room closed because it's with all 4 running right now, it begins heating up the house. We got it worked out right now. We have an AC in that room. And we turn that one on, leave the door open. It feeds the AC in the hall, keeps the house cool. But with all 4 of them running, it gets to be crazy. They're all Bamboo Lab. I've got one of the brand new A2L, very nice. I've got 2 A1s and a P1S. Jamie says, restarted calcium doser yesterday evening because my calcium is at 200. Is that from having added all the coral? It's always been high. So Jamie, your situation is a little different because you were testing and it was always high, but I think because of I think because you were not using the deionized water for the calcium test, you might have been getting an error. But if you're doing that now and you're getting 200, yeah, it's possibly low. It's so hard for me to know because I'm not there. But if you're sure that you're doing the test right with the calcium on the Hannah checker, then I would say, yeah, you need to be dosing calcium at 200 to bring it back up pretty aggressively, to be honest with you. Water change would probably be easier to bring it up back to where it should be. Also understand that people have a lot of trouble with that calcium checker from Hannah. Most people decide not to use it and they go with a Salifert calcium test kit because the calcium tester from Hannah, like you got to be perfect with that thing to get a consistent number every time. Taper says, can't you just print it?
He's talking about
print it a tad small and drill it and tap it. Yes, I probably could. And honestly, that's one of the things that I was considering doing because that portion of the print is solid plastic. So it's possibly something I could do, but I'm trying to get away from having a lot of post-processing because it takes a bunch of extra time. I'm going to get it though. I think I'm just going to make that part a little bit thicker so there's a little more thread there and we might be good to go. Are stylo easy to take care of? They are one of the more easier SPS. Yeah, they definitely are. They're not a real hard SPS to keep. As long as your numbers are kind of where they should be and relatively stable, stylo will be okay. Jason says, I've been looking all over for those candy canes. The Jason Fox pinwheels. Yeah. I'll tell you where I got them. And honestly, they have grown probably 3 new heads since I got them. So in my group, one of my moderators, his name is Andrew Hash. He has a Facebook group. It's a private Facebook group, and he deals in corals. He's a local vendor to me. He's got really nice corals, really nice system, and he does ship as well. You can check to see if he has any more. He might be growing his back out right now, but when he got those, he fragged them and was keeping some so that he could keep growing them. So you can find his Facebook group by searching Facebook for Andrew Hash, Hache, Signature Corals, and join his private group. And you can just post in the group asking, hey man, you got any more of those Jason Fox pinwheels? Mine are not quite ready to be fragging them yet. I'm probably not going to frag those until they're like the size of a volleyball, and then I'll frag off 3 or 4 heads at a time and let it recover. But yeah, I'm gonna let that thing grow for a while. It's a pretty slow grower. Love the feather dusters. Thank you so much. They are also called Project X. Are they really? I didn't know that. My wife said your urchin needs a cowboy hat. Everybody has been after me about printing things like cowboy hats and like road cones and crap like that for your urchins to carry around, like crowns and tiaras and stuff like that. But I don't really have the right kind of printers for that. You would really want to use like a resin printer, but resin is toxic. So, I mean, I could maybe do some with the printers that I have and get pretty decent results. But I haven't tried to design anything like that and print anything like that yet. How fast are your LPS growing per month? I really don't have a way to measure it. LPS typically grow pretty slow. So, I mean, they look really healthy, but it's probably, I mean, my torches probably put on like 1 head every month or 2 months or something like that. Maybe not even that. Maybe even slower than that. I don't have super fast LPS growth in this tank. One of the reasons is because I don't run my nutrients very high because I have acros. So I keep my nitrate below 10 and I keep my phosphate below 0.1. And so that limits the growth a bit on the LPS because they like a dirtier tank. Finally made it. Was hooking up the new Aqua Reef Series RODI. That's cool, Sean. Nice to have you here, man. Thank you so much for joining us. Sai says, always had high NO3 since getting into the hobby 6 years ago, 50 plus ppm. Wow. Last week, Saltwater read only 5. Kit was getting about to expire, bought a new kit, same results, absolutely no changes to the tank. Weird. At a 5-year-old tank, I would guess that it's probably matured to a point where it's either found a state of stability or it's grown out to a point where the tank is sucking up more than it's being made. So keep a very close eye on that. If it stays around 5, that's probably okay. But if it starts going below 5, you may have to begin dosing nitrate or even doing ammonium dosing to make sure that your corals are getting what you need. Josh says, are you still using the pop bloom lights? I am not. I had an opportunity to upgrade my lights to Delua, and so I did that. I upgraded to Delua X4s, that's these right here, and this entire lighting system is called the X4 SPS Beast Bundle. So if you go to Delua's website, DALUA, you can look these up on the website. They are pretty expensive lights, but they come with a lifetime warranty on the lenses and stuff. So if anything goes wrong with these lights on the lenses or anything, they're going to fix that. No questions asked. In addition to the 4 X4s that I have, which I wish I had 5. I would get more spread in the tank if I had 5, but these 4 are getting the job done. but there's also 4 LED strips, 4 36-inch ones, 2 in the front, 2 in the back. But I don't have those on right now. I'm only running the X4s because with just the X4s, I can get 700 par at the top of the rocks. If I add the strips, I can get 1,000 par right here in the tank. And that is just a ridiculous number. I won't have to run par like that until all these Acropora across the top are well grown out and shading everything below them. Then maybe I might have to crank it up to a much higher number. But yeah, I'm not running the pop blooms anymore. That doesn't mean that I don't like the pop blooms. I think that they're just fine as a budget reef keeping light goes, you know, but I had the opportunity to upgrade, so I took it. And I'm very happy that I did. Coco said, where did you get the mount for the pop bloom? Can't find one that's sturdy enough. That pop bloom light that I was showing earlier, it's a different arm design. Sorry, when I breathe heavy like that, it's not because I'm upset. It's because I got problems, y'all. It's hard to speak like this straight for, you know, an hour and a half without many breath breaks. The pop bloom arm that you saw a few minutes ago is the version 3. It's the V3 arm that Pop Bloom sells for the RL 115. It's the same arm that they sell with a different top part for the RL 60. They have it for the RL 90 as well, but it does not come on the RL 180, which I don't know why, because that's a heavier light. You would think it would have the heavier arm, but they didn't do it that way. White zombies in the wine glass or the salted agave. I do happen to have a huge frag of salted agave in the refugium tank, but there's a lot of Aptasia in there, and there's no Aptasia in the wine glass, and I would like to keep it that way. So I may take a look at that frag and see. That would be a good place for those corals to go. They probably wouldn't color up crazy colors because of the light, which is also a Delua light. It's just a single pixel. So I went to the website, put in my email, subscribe, but it wouldn't let me do the $5 strips.
I told him to send me an email.
Okay. All right.
At reefrookies.com. I don't know if he saw my comment, but yes, shoot me an email and I'll take a look.
Yeah, Sean, I don't know if you saw Sandy's comment, but send an email with that information to admin@reefrookies.com and we'll take a look. It wouldn't let me do the $5 subscription. It says to subscribe at this time. So
they're changing something.
Yeah, they're messing with something in the background because we had all that set up perfect and now it's different. To be clear, just so everybody understands, when you go to the website, you put your email in the box, it's going to pop up another box and it's going to have a $5 option in there to subscribe or a free one. You don't have to do the paid one to enter into the drawing. If you want to, of course, that's fine. But that $5 option shouldn't even be there. But it is for some reason. We're not asking anybody to pay to enter into the drawings or anything like that. If you want to support the mission, there you can go to support the mission. And then there's a spot where you can, what's it called? Memberships. And you can click there and there's different tiers that you can choose from, which are exactly the same. They're a mirror of the tiers here on YouTube for memberships as well. Same thing. You can do that if you want to, but it's not required to enter into the drawings to do that. How long did it take for you to establish your following to where you could do it full time to support yourself? So since you asked, we will let you know. I'll tell you straight up. It's more than just this. I've been a YouTuber for about 10 years. I had a Minecraft channel before. It made a little bit of money, but gaming is not how you make money on YouTube. Trust me. If you want to be a gaming content creator and try to make money, you need to be a Twitch streamer. That's what you need to be doing. Just being straight up with you. That said, Reef Rookies, it took what, about 6 months before it was monetized?
Yeah.
About that, about 6 months. But like I said, I know how to create videos. I know how to keep people's attention. I know how to have good viewer retention. And, I know how to edit. And it's because I've been doing it so long. For somebody starting out from scratch, it would take you much longer. And I'm sorry, I know this is not really about reef tanks, but I'm going to try to answer it and be real with you. At this point, we are still not making enough money that we're able to put anything back every month. We're in the negative every month. It's helping. Don't get me wrong. We're able to continue doing this, but every month we're still moving a little bit of money out of our savings account to cover everything. So it's going to get there. It's just going to take time. But we've been doing this for 2 years now, and we're still not there yet. If you're getting into YouTube with the mindset that you're going to replace your income and then try to earn a living doing it, plan for it to be 5 to 8 years before you reach that point. Unless you are just one of those special people who can generate millions of views because you're just so charismatic or whatever, you're a Mr. Beast or, something like that. That's a whole different thing. But for most people, plan to be consistent on YouTube for 5 to 8 years before you start making any amount of money that's going to be life-changing, we'll call it. It also depends on what you choose your topic to be. Real estate, finances, automotive, stuff like that. Those are big earning niches. Books, art, gaming, that kind of stuff are very low earning niches. Education, very low earning. Reefing, it's mid tier, So anyway, back to reef tank talk. Have you heard of microdosing reef flux for bryopsis? No, I have not heard of microdosing it for bryopsis. I'm not really sure how that would work. I think that it would take a very long time to be effective if it was effective. Yeah, so not sure. Retep in with the super chat that I missed earlier. Thanks for helping without being asked. Shared knowledge is shared wealth. Well, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Just trying to see how many people we can get successfully keeping reef tanks, Let's see here. I'm scared to gauge my ears. I'm afraid I'd be running through the woods and get my ears stuck on a tree branch. The key to that is don't run through the woods. Yeah, I'm not planning on going huge. I mean, I'm at, I know it doesn't look like it right now, but I'm at like 7.5 millimeters. I'm probably going to go, I don't know, maybe 15. We'll see. I don't want like big, huge like things, right? But I do want some gauges. Finally decided to just become the person I wanted to be instead of who other people wanted me to be. Nola says no, so they can use that potassium chloride to dip the corals. Oh, I got you. Well, I mean, in that case, it would be fine. I've never dipped anything in potassium chloride. What's the new stuff comes out all the time. I've always used Coral RX or hydrogen peroxide or Bayer insecticide. I haven't used potassium chloride. What's the thinking behind that? Jamie says it was 454 when I retested with the DI water last time. Was reading over 600, then boom, 200. I rechecked 2 times and the color of the liquid was red, not purple or blue, so I'm assuming it's right. Jamie, I would hate to tell you to do this, but I would get a Saltwater kit just to back it up and see what the Saltwater kit says. I know it's additional expense, but I don't want you to dose calcium if the tank don't need it. And I'm skeptical that the HANA checker is reading correctly because so many people have problems with the calcium checkers. So I would say pick up a Saltwater kit or a Red Sea one just as backup and see what that says, see if it agrees. What light would you recommend for a 95-gallon wave aquarium, 3 months old, mixed tank, and on a budget? Avi, what are the physical dimensions of the 95-gallon tank? Is it 4 feet or 3 feet, 2 feet, and how deep? Let me know. PEK filament, my enders print that, or TPU. Yeah, I don't print wild filaments. I stick to PLA and PETG. Trying to seed my tank for a mandarin, but my fish tears up the pod population. Any advice for seeding or refugium? Also, what's your thoughts on the 40-ounce micro tanks? Those micro tanks are pretty cool, but I feel like they're probably pretty demanding. I don't have one, but they do water changes every week to keep up with things. And I mean, they look pretty neat, but there's no fish in those systems. So that helps tremendously with keeping things stable. But I don't know how they're keeping nutrients up in those things. Maybe they're dosing like micro dosing reefroids or something. I don't know. As far as the other thing, you could get a subscription for copepods. The place I would recommend is Bulldog Reef. Code RRWL15 will get you 15% off your order at Bulldog Reef. And they also give huge discounts to first responders, police and firemen, and public servants like nurses and doctors and people like that. They do that kind of stuff over there at Bulldog Reef. Affiliated, but they don't pay me any money. They just decided to give us a code because they're cool. Turbo powered Civic, what's up? Oh man, you know what I've been down this rabbit hole lately of a car that I used to love that I forgot that I loved, and now it's showing back up in my TikTok feed, and I really kind of want one. I didn't tell my wife about this yet. It's the old school, I forget what gen it is, but the old school Eclipse GSX, the all-wheel drive turbo Eclipse. Man, those cars just look so good when they're done right. God, they look good. You said, good afternoon, struggling with getting your skimmer recommendations on the website.
I fixed it. I saw their comment. It's fixed. I can go back.
Okay. My wife said that she fixed the website already after seeing your comment. She did it right then. So the skimmer page should be fixed if you want to go back and take a look. Looking for looking for a budget friendly for only a 30-gallon. Hang in the tank or hang on the back of the tank? Civic, let me know. Okay, I'm not even going to try to say your name, my friend, because I'm probably going to mess it up. I want to ask you about a filterless reef bowl. Any recommendations for the coral that can go in there that won't overtank the tank in a heartbeat and still survive? That's how my wine glass is set up. There's no filter on that tank at all. We'll go back over there and take a look at it while we talk about it. I'm going to take 1 second. Hang on. Let me get coffee.
Slurp.
Yeah, slurp. Sorry about that. Look, I'm a human, okay? You guys are going to hear human noises. Let me grab the camera. And we'll go over here and take a look at the wine glass tank. I don't know if you were here when we were taking a look at this tank earlier, but this is a filterless sort of reef bowl. It's in the shape of a wine glass, but I have a very deep sand bed that's in layers. So this sand is very fine. This is medium. This is coarser sand down here. And at the bottom, there's nothing. There's just plain water down there, right? Not plain, it's salt water, but there's just water down there. So pulsing zinnia in here. I've got Stylopora, purple stylo in here, which you can see how nice that looks. That's a SPS. This is Montipora digitata SPS. Got some St. Thomas mushrooms in here. The main thing that you have to watch out for, now there is a little hang on the back filter, but it's just for water flow. There's no filter in there. And actually, it's created its own little algae scrubber on the output right there. So that's pretty interesting. And yes, there's a bunch of salt creep on that, but we're not going to talk about that. But anyway, let me reset. Oh, sorry about the zoom, everyone. Let me reset it. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. It won't reset the zoom. Hang on, let me flip it. Flip it back. Okay. So the thing about little Pico tanks like this and reef bowls and stuff is don't put fish in them. Or if you do put fish in them, just keep 1 or 2 very small fish. I don't touch this tank. I could not tell you what the water parameters are. The salinity is correct. That's the only thing that I have checked in like the last 6 months. Literally the only thing I do is top this thing off with RODI water. And yeah, there's bubbles on the glass. There's probably some dinos in here. There's a flatworm right there. You know, it just is what it is. The main inhabitant is that harlequin starfish, harlequin shrimp. But the thing about this tank is it remains, if I had to guess, a very low nutrient tank because I'm not feeding the tank every day. So as a result, the corals grow very slowly, and you get that huge pulsing sort of activity from the pulsing xenia. And look, it's not perfect. It killed a snail. There's a big fireworm right down there. Hard to see. There he is. Big fireworm down there. It's got bubble algae over here, but all that's fine. It doesn't bother me. It's just, it's a cool thing, you know, conversation starter. So the thing about Pico tanks is you can put just about anything you want in them. Look, as a matter of fact, this giant green bird's nest used to be in the wine glass tank. It grew all the way across the top, and I had to take it out of the wine glass tank because it was touching the walls. And so it went into my main display. But you can put just about anything in there that you want as long as you maintain good husbandry of the tank. Of course, if you put things in there with a skeleton, you probably should be checking alkalinity and calcium and magnesium. I'm not, because I'm not. Those corals were free. They were just frags off of another coral that I had. So it's whatever. If they don't grow super fast, even the better, because it's a small tank. I'm not worried about it. But the main thing is, don't put fish in it. Josh said, or if you're going to, put one or two small, like shark nose gobies or something like that. Josh says, okay, good thing you're starting out 65 mixed reef with 115 watt, primarily soft corals and zoas, maybe an M. Yeah, there you go. Daily Dose of Fragrance says, what would you recommend for a cheap 20-gallon starter setup? I would recommend you go to www.seacardinal.com. It is a tank like that. It's an all-in-one setup. You can get the tank and a light and a skimmer and the return pump and a heater and all of that. They have what's called a Reef Ready setup. Myself and Sea Cardinal collaborated together to create those systems. And that is the cheapest system you can get right now on the market that has everything that you need to set up a saltwater aquarium. The 35-gallon Lagoon Reef Ready kit right now is $1,000 plus shipping, but you literally get all the things you need. Like, we included an RODI unit, a way to measure salinity. You even get salt with the setup. So go check out seacardinal.com. Poke around over there. Yes, we're partners. If you buy one, I make a little bit of money on that. Do you only have to add your email once on the website like I did a while back? Yes, you only need to put your email in one time, and then you're always in for the drawings that are going to be for things that we pull from that email for. So, yeah, very cool. Oh, by the way, after the pop bloom is gone, I have a Nicrew Nava Reef 135, brand new, of which that I'm gonna do a review video and all that on the Nicrew, and then we're gonna give that one away with a light shade. I'll probably put a light shade in with the pop bloom too when we give that one away. I've got some extras. But we don't have the wish list set up. A few of you have asked about doing an Amazon wish list so that y'all can buy stuff that comes to me. I can test it, check it out, make products around it and for 3D printing, and then give it away to somebody in the group. It's a pretty cool thing some of y'all are willing to do, but we haven't set it up yet. But we did buy the Nicrew so that we can start the process with that, and Pop Bloom donated the RL 115. Oh, you already answered that. Freeman's Aquatics. I think my channel's 10 years old. I think I have like 500 something subscribers. Didn't really try to. Oh yeah, YouTube is a strategy game. It is not easy. Let's see. Weld is building the rock work on the 120. Very cool. Gwen says yes to being the people we're meant to be instead of trying to make others happy. Yep. Tiger says, I have a torch that gets a bubble and random tentacles from time to time. Any idea what that's about? Nope, not really. It's just an alive thing being alive. The tentacles of like torch corals and anemones and things like that, they're just full of salt water. That's it. So sometimes they just, I don't know, they change shape. It's just kind of what they do. Yeah. BZ says Hannah, Cal, and Mag checkers suck. I would tend to agree with that. Reef Keepers in the house says 2 tablespoons of potassium chloride per gallon is a great coral dip. It's also probably the most gentle. Acro-eating flatworms just melt off. Only dip I've ever been able to use on smooth skin acros. Cool. Good to know. I spend so much time trying to just do the stuff that we're doing. Like, I can't keep up with anything that's happening now. It's crazy. But I am considering adding a new series to the YouTube channel that would sort of help me make content a little easier and a little faster for something, put more things out there. Yeah. Anyway, let me not tell everybody what it is in case somebody else starts doing it before I do. If only people were good at carpentry collectively. Bear tanks and build AIOs. Yeah. Is cheap, the potassium chloride? Yeah, I guess it could be, huh? You just buy it in bulk or whatever. Moving the tank to a new home, but currently treating for dinos in the sand bed. Would you still add the old sand to the new sand or no because of the dinos? I would not. However, if you're going to be putting anything from the old setup back into the new setup, you're going to import them anyway. So it doesn't matter. If you want to clean the old sand, you can clean it in old salt water to keep it alive and then put it in the tank. If you're dealing with dinos now, moving the tank is probably going to make that worse. It's just, that's a really tough call because there's really nothing that you can do that's going to kill the dinos in the middle. Wish that there was, other than if you like bleach everything. If you like bleach the sand, bleach the rocks, yeah, it'll kill them. And then when you set it back up, but then you're setting it back up like brand new from scratch. So, and if you move corals without dipping them or anything like that, the dinos are going to still be there too again anyway. So, and also further, the more I think about this, that's an interesting question. So let's just say you move the tank and you use new sand, right? That new sand is not populated with any bacterial colonies. That is the perfect breeding ground for dinos to become the dominant organism fast. So it's really tough to say what I would do in that scenario. I would probably, if it's a bad dino infestation, I would probably break the corals off of the rocks, QT them, and do a bleach bath on the rocks and the sand. Like, I hate dinos so much, I would go nuclear, and like clean everything, clean the tank, sterilize everything with bleach, set the tank up back new, get it through the nitrogen cycle, and then put the corals back in after they've been dipped a couple of times. I'm just spitballing here because that's a crappy situation to be in, and that sucks, and I'm sorry. Caleb says, let's get a hot take. What are the biggest ripoffs in reef tanks? Lighting. Lighting is probably one of the biggest ripoffs. There are light fixtures out there that I know good and well didn't cost $1,000 anywhere near it for them to build that fixture, but that's what they want you to pay for it. Not to say they're not good lights, but they're very, very more expensive than I think that there's probably way more profit built into those lights than anybody even realizes. But what else? Biggest ripoffs. Amino acids in a bottle. Most tanks just don't need them. You're just pouring money down the drain. You pour it in the tank, your skimmer takes it out, and it goes in the trash. Most tanks don't need the aminos. Unless you have a tank that you have ICP tested, which shows an amino acid deficiency, then your tank probably don't need it. But I don't know. I haven't really thought about it all that much. I mean, there's ripoffs for sure. Gen 2 or Gen 3? Oh, with the Eclipse? Yeah, I think it's a Gen 3. It's the nice ones before they changed the body style to that stupid looking ugly one that was in Fast and the Furious 3 or whatever. The Eclipse I'm talking about is the green one from the first Fast and the Furious. That generation. I like those. Apache is back into the hobby. Got some rocks, a handful of corals. I have to buy more rocks when my store gets another shipment. Very cool. Looking for hang on the back skimmer. Turbo Civic. Look at the Ice Cap K1 Nano. That is a hang on the back, and it's relatively small, and I think it'll probably do a good job for you. And yeah, it should be, the website should be working back again. Theron, hey, what's up, man? Where did you get that rock work in the large tank? I built that sucker from scratch. Well, I didn't build the rocks, but I made the structure out of the rocks that I had. I did that myself. I have a video showing how I did that on my channel. If you search my channel for the term Marco, you'll find it. I use super glue gel, thick super glue gel, not super glue gel. I'm sorry. I used thick cyanoacrylate super glue. It's the step before gel. Gel is even thicker. So it's just the thick, so it'll still run. So I used that, and I used Instaset to initially connect the rocks together. And then once that dried, I followed that up with Marco 400 Reef mortar, which is basically just Portland cement, but it's supposed to be pure. People used Portland cement for years, but you have to let it cure for forever because it releases crap into the water. The Marco is not supposed to do that, and I did not see that it did that in my tank. But yeah, I built it. I put it together myself. I took this big rock here. It's about the size of a basketball right here in the bottom. And I flattened off the bottom, and I siliconed it down to the bottom glass of the aquarium. And then I just started stacking rocks out further and further and further. And I just put it together like that. The Vinsk says, my tank has finished cycling now for 2 weeks. I only have 2 clownfish at the time. It's a UNS R75, 42-gallon display, 13 sump, pH 8.1, salinity 35, Hanna alkalinity test, and it showed 5.7. That is not that uncommon to see after the nitrogen cycle. The establishment of an aquarium, especially the nitrogen cycle, can use some alkalinity. People think things draw it up for their biological processes. It's one of the reasons that we do water changes after the nitrogen cycle to replenish the tank with the nutrients and element, or not nutrients, but the elements that it needs. So just keep an eye on it. Do some 20% water changes once a week for a while, and see if you can get it coming back up. If not, maybe think about dosing a little bit to get it back up above 7.5, around the 8 range or something like that. You can use baking soda, food grade baking soda mixed with RODI water. You can find the information that you need to do that on my website, reefrookies.com, education, reefing insights. Look for the one about DIY ways to save money in reef keeping. And there's information down further in there about dosing baking soda or soda ash to help replenish alkalinity cheaply. So yeah, there you go. What do you do for maintenance on your wine glass tank? Absolutely nothing. Nothing. I don't know what the water parameters are. I don't test that tank. All I do on that tank is top the water off once a week with RODI, and I wipe the glass once a week. That's it. I feed the Harlequin shrimp 1 starfish leg every week as well. But that's it. I do no other maintenance to that tank. But you have to understand, that tank is pretty old now. It's well over a year old in its current configuration. And I don't feed the tank. So there's nothing going in the tank that then has to come out. The Harlequin shrimp is a very low bioload animal. It only eats live starfish, and it uses almost 100% of the animal. It eats 100% of the soft tissue from the starfish. But otherwise, there's no nutrient going into that tank. So there's not much nutrient that needs to come out either. That's why I said earlier, don't put fish. Because if fish, then fish food. And if fish food, then excess nutrients, which means that you have to start testing. You have to start removing things in ways. That tank is completely biologically stable all by itself without me touching it. And like I said, I couldn't tell you what the parameters are. Potassium chloride isn't harsh on corals, cheap, affordable. Yeah, that was what Reef Keeper said earlier. That's pretty interesting. What tests do you need for a softy-only reef tank? Salinity, nitrate, and phosphate. With the understanding that you are going to have to do water changes either every 2 weeks or every month, something like that. I recently dropped a video on my channel. I got to talk a little easier. I recently dropped a video on my channel with Andy Boma. It's 2 or 3 videos back, and it's about lazy reef keeping. Go watch that video. He's running a tank that is just softies and anemones, and he's only testing salinity, nitrate, and phosphate. With no skeleton having corals in the tank, calcium, magnesium, and alkalinity become a little bit less important. And by doing routine water changes, you're replenishing those elements to whatever your salt mix is at, right? So again, keeping the bio load low, just a few fish in a softy reef, you can get away with only testing for those 3 things. He's been doing it for a while with very good results. Freeman says, Innovative Marine 25 Lagoon, you would love it.
That was on the.
Yeah, those are good tanks too. Thank you for always being a real one and helping all of us without expecting anything in return. You're very welcome. I mean, obviously, we do have ways for people to support, and it is very much appreciated when you do that. But we are going to continue putting out as much information as we can for absolutely no charge. Other people have gone a different direction. I've spoken to them about why they did that, and they have their reasons, and that's just what they wanted to do. So, you know, that's cool, you know? Nothing against them for doing that, but this is our model. We're going to give as much information away for free as we can. And if you guys want to support because you think it's a good thing, there are ways you can do that. The tank is 48 inches long, 20 inches deep, and 24 inches high. Avi, budget lighting for that tank. You could, for a mixed reef, you could do the Pop Bloom RL90. I kind of like the Nycrew a little better. The Nycrew Nava Reef 135, you could do 2 of those. You could do Nycrew Hyper Reef Gen 2 150s. You could do 2 of those. Any of those lights would be solid lights. If you get the Hyper Reef Nycrew, get the controller with it. If you get the Nava Reef, I don't think the controller even works with the Nava Reef. I'm still learning about that light. I just got one. What else? The knockoff Radions, it's the letter A, the number 8, and then SE, A8SE on AliExpress. They're knockoff Radion clones of the G6s. They're very good lights. Very good for the price. Yeah. So I would check into some of those. I have a video on my channel. The easiest way to find it is to go to my channel and type in lighting. And it's a video where I cover 15 different budget reef keeping lights, you know, and give you the pros and cons.
That's his spot.
That's his spot. Yeah. When I stream, yeah, y'all look. When I'm streaming, that's where bro gets. Right there. He gets right there and takes a freaking nap. That's just where he goes. That's just his thing. Eileen says, I was wondering, remember the really small, inexpensive Temu tanks? Has anyone updated on how they're doing? No, it was a fad. I haven't really seen anybody posting anything else about them. I'm sure some of them are doing great, you know, but I haven't seen much from it. Freeman says, I wish your channel luck, brother. You got a solid chance. I found you through the algorithm, so I'd say you and the wife keep trucking. Y'all have a good chance at this reef YouTube stuff. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Huthi or Huthi or Hut-He. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm probably murdering your name. New tank. Rocks first or sand first? Rocks, always, every time. Rocks go in the tank first. I don't know where we got this idea that sand goes in the tank first, but it don't. It never has. It never will. Rocks go in the tank. Rocks go first. Okay? All right. Man, oh, let me see if I can clip that. Clip. The reason being is because if you put the sand in, then you put the rocks on top of the sand, even putting the rocks in and then squishing them down in the sand leaves voids underneath where things can get under there, dig that sand out, and then the rocks shift. And if the rocks shift too much and fall and crack your glass, you're going to have a very expensive problem on your hand that requires immediate action. So in the history of Saltwater Aquaria forever, it has always been rocks go in first. You get the rocks in, you lock them together, maybe even some super glue gel or some epoxy stuff to lock those rocks together where they can't move. Then the sand goes in, always. I'm not really sure when people started putting out information. Somebody did at some point, started saying that the sand can go in first, and then you can put the rocks on top. I don't know where that came from, but that is, in my opinion, very wrong. The very wrong way to do it. I have seen posts where people have had cracked tanks, leaking water, because an engineer goby or something got under and dug the sand out from under some rocks. The rocks shifted and cracked the glass. So yeah, if the Portland cement porcelain, I think you meant Portland. If the Portland cement is soaked in RODI water, does that take out everything that needs to be leached, and how long do you soak? That's a tough call. It depends on how much of it you use. We used to make DIY rocks back in the day. We would take a rock and make a negative mold of it, out of silicone or something, and use Portland cement and other things like rock salt to create porosity. And we would pour man-made rocks, and it would take sometimes months for those things to release all of the alkalinity, for the alkalinity and the calcium and other things to come back down. They're very highly reactive, it seems. But the E-Marco stuff seems to not do that, but I didn't use that much of it. There's a big difference between putting, 3 cups of something in the tank or 200 pounds of something in the tank. There's a huge difference. But I didn't have any problems with the E-Marco. And according to the MSDS, it's just Portland cement, but they might have some filtration way that they run it through a machine first or something. I don't know. I'm spitballing here. Gwen says, I built my rock structure out of super glue, baking soda, and sand. That works. That works just fine. Theron, yes, I did. I built it in the tank while the tank was empty. It was all base rock, not wet, dry rock that I had bleach bath first and then let dry. And I built this rock structure. This other one back here, this is just a pile of rocks over here. But this main rock structure was all built. It was dry. I have a picture. I'll send you a picture. But in that E-Marco video, I think you can even see the rock structure when the tank was freshly set up. Stark white. Huge difference a little more than a year makes. I don't know who else has the name Redbeard's Reef is top notch. I appreciate that, man. Thanks. Caleb wants to know, when scaping a tank, do you prioritize fish territory and site breaks or coral placement? So that is a really good question. In this tank, I did not prioritize that. I prioritized the shape of this structure. I saw an ad from DeLua that had a negative space, one-sided asymmetrical aquascape, and I wanted to try to recreate that. I think I got pretty close. The problem is, as you mentioned, it did not prioritize hiding zones and fish territory and line of sight breaks. And because of that, I am not going to be able to stock this tank with nearly as many fish as I could if I had prioritized those things. So you just have to keep that in mind. If you want a heavier bio load, a lot more fish, you should have more rocks in the tank with more hiding and territorial zones. If you're prioritizing coral growth and shape of the aqua structure to build something more pleasing to the human eye, which is what I'm trying to do here with mine, then you're going to have less room for fish. That's just the way it goes. Usually in all my tanks in the past, I prioritized fish and hiding and caves and, swim throughs and things like that. But in this one, I wanted to do something different. Josh says, so you siliconed your aquascape to the glass. The silicone held to the rock without problems. That's a great idea. Did you start with dry Marco rock, any live rock at all? So, and then you got another question we'll answer in a minute. So yes, I do think that this probably was Marco rock. I got it from a local reef keeper. I was in a tough time. He decided to give me some rock. And I mean, I appreciate that and everything, but yes, it was dry, and I think it might've been Marco. But yeah, I started with this one on the bottom, flattened the bottom, used 100% aquarium silicone sealant, which is extremely sticky stuff. And I used like a tube and a half and basically painted it all the way on the bottom of that rock. Like I literally just made a huge pile of it in the middle of the tank, about 1.5 inches thick, and then put that big rock down in it, and it smushed it all out from under it. And then I went back and cleaned up the edge around the bottom of it. So like, it's not just a couple of spots where it's silicone down, like it's a bed of silicone that went into that rock and smushed up into the pores of the rock and everything. Oh, we got a giveaway to do. We're going to have to go do that here in a second. And then, yeah, I just built off of that. How are you getting the starfish legs to the shrimp? Are you just cutting them? Unfortunately, yes. I have to cut them off with a sharp pair of kitchen shears. One day the Harlequin shrimp is going to kick the bucket, but they can live for upwards of 20 years. So it's just a thing. Some people don't have the heart to cut the leg off, and they just put the entire chocolate chip starfish in with the shrimp. The shrimp eats on the thing for 1.5 months, and then they throw another one in there. But I didn't want to do that because I have coral in there, and chocolate chip starfish eat coral. So that's what I have to do. I don't enjoy doing it, but I got the shrimp, and I have to give it the food that it needs. Lyle, what's up, man? Dude, I need to show you what I'm working on now. Right on, Sean. Thank you so much. Let's go do this this giveaway. What are we giving away?
This was a spot in the Let's Talk Coral class. The Zoom class.
A spot in the Let's Talk Coral Zoom class.
This was for people who commented on the post that I did. In the Facebook group. So these are people from Facebook.
So these are the people who commented on the post that we made in the Facebook group where we said that we were going to give away a spot in the class. Unfortunately, we don't have your names here, privacy and all. Oh, wait, we do have the name?
I do have them, but
okay.
Y'all look for my posts if you were in the group, because my posts a lot of times have these giveaways in them. So y'all make sure y'all look out for those. So we only had 7 people.
So 7 people commented. We're going to do the spinny thing. Wee. And it is number 4. Okay, so let's go see who number 4 is. Tim Trizzle. What's up, man? You got a free spot. Hopefully you're in the chat. I haven't seen you talking, but yeah, hopefully you're here. If not, we are going to notify Tim that he got in another Zoom chat, or he was in one previously, but he bought his way into that one, I think, because that's a paid thing. But another way you guys can support if you want to. But yeah, Tim Trizzle, I think is how you say his name. I hope we're saying that correctly. Very cool. Let me take a little break here, guys. We've been going quite fast today.
It does seem like it's been going pretty quick. We only have 45 minutes.
Yeah, we only got 45 minutes left. Let me take a break. Top off my coffee and I'll be right back. Yeah, so in case you guys didn't know, I don't sleep on Sunday nights because I drink 3 cups of coffee and between 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock. I average about a cup an hour. That's the coffee mileage we get during the live streams. Okay. All right. Think I might be trying to keep a harlequin shrimp my Evo. Been toying with different ideas of a single specimen. Hadn't thought of that. But what's the best method to feed and have food on hand? You are going to have to keep another tank where you can keep live starfish and do the thing that I was just talking about a few minutes ago. They only eat live. You cannot freeze the starfish and give it to them. They won't take it. Our Hanna phosphate test kit's good. The Hanna phosphate ULR, the ultra low range test kit, is the one you want. And yes, they are very good. Lyle Fishing says, just what I wanted to discuss. One of my XR30s just went out. Need to buy new lights. Yeah, Lyle, hit me up in a DM, man. You and I talk quite a bit. So send me a DM. We'll discuss it back and forth. We'll pick some good lights for you that aren't going to break the bank, my dude. But yeah, I need to send you some pictures of my boat stuff that I'm working on. Sean loves the small meeting sessions on various topics as they're available on the Reef Rookie site. Nice to connect with everyone and learn. Yeah, it's a super cool time. There hasn't been a whole lot of interest in them. Not really sure why, but yeah. I'm running a Smat Farm 60 watt on my 8-gallon Nano, 1% white, 23% blue, 20% UV, sitting 11 inches from the water surface, working real good, digital remote timer. Cool. Whew, that was a lot. I just finished the light shades for the Smat Farm 95 watt, and I'm actually driving to a guy's house tomorrow to go test fit those things. They should be up on the Etsy store real soon. If they fit correctly, I'll probably try to get it up on the store maybe tomorrow. I'm moving and want to set up a 150, maybe a 180. Is there specific tank brands you like? So yeah, Planet Aquariums are very, very good. Innovative Marine, Waterbox, Neptunian Cube. If you're looking at like super high end stuff, they're gorgeous tanks, but boy, you're going to pay for them. That's like the Ferrari of reef tanks. Who else makes good tanks? I can't think of any other ones right off the top of my head, but I forget who has tanks. Planet Aquaria, Innovative Marine, Waterbox, Neptunian Cube. If anybody else can think of any, drop them in the chat. Is there a downside to only dosing soda ash? There's not really a downside. It just might not give you the calcium content that you want the way that Kalkwasser does. And soda ash doesn't have as much of a boost on the pH as regular sodium bicarbonate does. Baking soda is going to boost alkalinity and pH. Soda ash may actually have a slight pH reducing effect. So if you're at 8.1, it might take you down to 8. But there's not really a downside to it, no. Can I peroxide dip acan corals? Yes, you can. Can't really think of any reason why you couldn't. It's definitely going to piss them off. They're going to slime like crazy, but that's pretty standard with any coral dip, really, on healthy corals. I have done it. I think there are better options than that, but you could. Yeah, just make sure you get the concentration correct. Armstrong says we got a 40-gallon breeder. Thought about setting up again. I've thought about drilling it myself. Are you a fan of drilling a tank or buying an all-in-one or a reef-ready tank from a company? If you already have the 40 breeder, I would either drill it yourself and run a sump, or I would build a baffle kit and turn it into an all-in-one. Those are the two things I would do. If you already have the 40, I don't see a reason to buy an all-in-one unless you just want a brand new tank, maybe a rimless, real clean looking tank or something, you know. I don't have a problem drilling tanks, but I've drilled a lot of tanks. So I'm very familiar with it. I'm really comfortable with it. But it don't matter how comfortable you get with it. When you're drilling a tank, it is a nerve-wracking process. One mistake and you're going to crack that back glass. or the bottom, whichever one you're drilling. But with 3D printing these days, I mean, there are people out there who can make all-in-one baffle kits for you. There's already some out there. I think Fiji Cube maybe makes a drop-in to turn a 40-gallon into an all-in-one. It turns it into a peninsula style because it's a drop-in for the short side. But yeah, they make one. We got 85 people in here right now. That is super cool. You guys it's growing, you guys. We're getting more and more people in here very slowly over week to week. So that's very cool. Yeah, so that's what I would do. I'd probably turn it into an all-in-one. They're just so easy to take care of. You don't have the benefits of having a sump with the extra water volume and the ability to run bigger skimmers and stuff. But these days, skimmers are becoming so good that even the small ones can handle a 40-gallon tank, no problem. You know, so that's what I would do. I would turn the 40 into an all-in-one. That is a thing that I have wanted to design and 3D print for various sizes of tanks, but there's so many other people doing it now. I don't know if it would be a good thing for me to really go down the path of doing, but honestly, I think I can do it better. Because that's kind of what I pride myself in with my 3D print is, number one, my print quality is really high. It's way higher than some of the stuff you're going to get in other places. And I have thrown away prints that most people would consider perfect because they didn't meet my quality standards. I'm not sending something out that isn't perfect. As a matter of fact, as an example, I just printed the testers for the Smat Farm 95 watt that I was telling you about. The corners on the edge of the light shade are so sharp that they could cut you if your hands are wet and soft. So I'm going to go back and round those corners off after I test fit them to make sure, just because that I don't like how sharp they are. I mean, they're really sharp, like surprisingly sharp. So yeah, anyway, what's going on? 3 min days. Oh, cool. Nola says, when's the new gear from DeLua coming? Love to see the upgrades, knowing where this tank was a year or so ago. Yeah, a little over a year ago, this tank was in a friggin' state, man. DeLua has had some shipping issues recently. They were having some trouble getting things through customs or something. I don't know. It was just there were several delays that they went through. But I do know that their stuff, that their most recent shipment, which is going to have their power heads and their wave makers, return pumps and skimmers, is now here. It's in the USA. I think that it's supposed to be this week, or maybe even early next week. It's going to start going out, getting sent out to the stores that are going to be partnering with them and stuff. So I should have new DeLua stuff coming within the next couple of weeks. Wave makers, return pumps, and a GW12 skimmer that I'm going to be upgrading my system to. Freebands Aquatics, Timu has these aquarium decorations that are 3D printed. They're cave-like structures that go against the face of your aquarium. I did one recently, and the rock super glue perfectly to it, $2.50. That's very cool. I've considered doing some stuff like that myself. I think it would be really cool to have like a cave right against the front of the glass that maybe like a blue-headed jawfish would make its home, or maybe even like do a really long one all the way across the front for like a snowflake eel or something, where you could see like the cave they live in. That would be cool. Let's see. Sand and super glue occasionally. Goodness, man, you typed a whole bunch of stuff there. Accelerator, make sure in a well-ventilated area. Yep, for sure. Cheapest super glue. It's proven reef safe for me. Is yeah. All right. Hang on just a sec. I'll be right back. Yeah, it's fine. All right. I had to go check something, but I'm back. Winter reefer dinner. Yeah. Congratulations, Tim. Let's see. Discosoma. Oh, Hal asked everybody what their first coral was. Too late for coffee? Yeah, for real. My new water box 20 just passed the leak test. Planning for a softy tank. Very cool. What's up, Andy? Nice to see you here, my friend. Glass cages. That was the other one I was trying to think of. Thank you, Nola. Mr. Milander? All right. I'm interested. Are you going to continue proactive dose of nitrobiotic in the systems now, or are you only keeping it for dinoflagellates? I'm not proactively dosing anything into the tank, into my main tank or anything, because I'm not having a problem. I don't want to upset the. That was this one. I know it was this one, but I'm talking about my other ones. I don't want to upset the bacterial biome in the tank because, knock on wood, I'm not having any issues with this tank right now. I say that very quietly with a light tongue because anything can happen, but the tank seems to really like the state that it's in. Despite my test kit reading 7.8 pH at the highest. So, excuse me, too much coffee. I have a new pH test kit coming to double check that. But no, I'm not doing proactive dosing to it. You can buy a drop-in. Yeah, you can get a drop-in for the 40 breeder. We talked about that. Would you happen to have any suggestions on where I could get plumbing info? I'm having a hard time understanding how to get my tank plumbed properly. There is really your only option is just talking to people. Join, if you're not in my Facebook group, join my Facebook group, Reef Rookies with Logan. It's a private group. Don't try to join the public one because that one's closed. Join the private group. You can get there from my website, reefrookies.com, and make a post and show us what you're working on, what you're working with. We'll try to help you get it laid out and plumbed correctly. Be sure to answer the questions. Yes. Anyone who wants to go join the group, be sure you answer both entry questions and click the box to agree to the group rules so that we can let you in the group. Every single person who joins our private group is personally hand vetted by my wife. All 6,000, one at a time, have been checked by her to make sure that they're answering the rules, they're answering the questions, agreeing to the rules, and they haven't been banned in one of our other places. So yeah, we're very serious about our community remaining the best place for reef keeping on the internet. The Fiji Cube drop-in AIO kit is awesome. I run one in my 75-gallon. Cool. I didn't know they had one for 75. That's cool. Freeman's going to make some all-in-one kits. That's nice. We have 2 printers and have thought about making our own drop-in. Thank you for the input. Appreciate it. Yeah, no worries. Can you turn a slot in an all-in-one into a refugium? Technically, yes, you can. The problem is most people grossly undersize their refugium. For example, 180-gallon tank, my Fuge is a 40-gallon breeder. I didn't even have enough space in my sump in the 18 by 18 by 8 section of water there to do a proper refugium for this tank. So yes, you could do it in the back, one of the back chambers of an all-in-one, but it's not going to be as effective as you would want it to be for the purpose of reducing nutrients. However, if you fill that chamber up with like rock rubble or something, it will be great for biological filtration and the growth of copepods and amphipods and worms and feather dusters and things like that. My breeder is 2 months old. KH is. I do have some soft corals and fish. So Yoku, probably the easiest way is going to be to either purchase a supplement that is meant for buffering alkalinity. CChem has one called like KH buffer or something like that. But really the easiest way is sodium bicarbonate. It's food grade baking soda. I've got the instructions for how you would mix that up and use it in your reef tank on my website. If you go to reefrookies.com, education, reefing insights, and then look through there for the DIY saving money one. You'll find information on that. Biggest little reefer. I have an overview video of my drilled 40 breeder on my channel if you want to check it out. Good run through if you're curious of what you can do if you decide to drill it. Cool. Thanks for sharing that. Just make sure you're using PETG for your prints. All right. I agreed. Anything going in the tank should be PETG. Definitely on the Facebook group. Very good. Brandon Lucas, thinking about getting a Pico UNS for my desk at work, thinking it might be too distracting, but leaning towards it anyway. Do it. Do it. Let's see. Excellent tool for gaining knowledge. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, I'm trying to just hit the questions. Sean's talking about Fiji Cube Medium Pro hang on the back fuge. Yep, that's cool. Okay, so we're pretty much caught up. Freeman, I really think the all-in-one aquarium is going to be the king and take over for the most part in the hobby. Yeah, they are. Neptunian Cube is doing something really cool with their tanks. Their overflow goes all the way across the back of the tank, and it's really slim. So it's a coast-to-coast overflow on the whole tank, but it's really small. Gwen says, I found this product called Coral Snow, and I dosed it. Turned out it wasn't. It was coral food. Can anyone say nitrates? Oh, my gosh. Yes. So there's Coral Snow, which is the thing that you put in to clear the water up and help remove detritus and floating organics and things like that. And then there is marine snow, which is coral food. It's dead phytoplankton and other things. You definitely don't want to overdose marine snow, which is, I think, what has happened to Gwen. Coral snow, on the other hand, you can DIY that as well at that same, you can get to the information at that same link that I was just talking about on my website in the Reefing Insights, the DIY post, or here on YouTube as well. Freeman says, do the desk tank. 2 votes for the desk tank. I'm sold. Yes. And post pictures in my group. I have a 5-gallon Sea Cardinal sitting in my office right now, and it is a full setup. And I was really thinking about doing a bedside tank so I could stare at a pretty tank while I go to sleep. My wife just gave me a look.
I didn't even look at you. I looked down the hall. I was pretending to look at the tank in my sleep.
Oh, she was looking at the tank next to her side of the bed, which is not at all what I was just talking about. Coffee table reef tank. Yeah, I already have 6 tanks set up in this house. I don't really need another one. Do you recommend culturing your own phytoplankton, or do you think it requires too much? If you spend the time to set up a nice phytoplankton growing area, it's not just like a thing you throw together. Like if you really spend the time to build something nice, then it's super cool. It's super easy. Glass jars that you can, when you empty the phyto out, you can just throw it in the dishwasher, clean it and sterilize it, with super hot water. Then you can set it all back up and do it again. The more time you spend building it out to make it nice, the easier it is and the more you'll do it. And if your local area doesn't have somebody that's really doing it a lot, you can end up selling a lot of it or trading it for frags and stuff like that. I mean, a quart of the stuff goes for about $20 around where I'm at, but there's so many people around me doing it. Everybody's got it for sale, yeah, I mean, I think it's worth it. It's worthwhile, if nothing else, to just get the experience and build it out and see if you can grow it and learn about the biology and all that stuff. Not sure we can ever have enough tanks. Believe me, you can. You can have enough tanks for sure. Have you seen that all-in-one micro tank? It's so small, I want one for my bedside table. Yes, the PNW 40-ounce micro reef. I have seen it. It is very small. It's pretty cool that they figured out how to do that and have like a sump below it and everything. It almost looks like a toy. 2 flex tanks on either end of the bed would look very nice. Yeah, I don't think we're going to do that actually.
It would be cool though.
It would be cool.
It would be like our night lights.
Yeah, night lamp. Yeah.
The tanks there. Yeah, that would be super.
It would be super cool. Don't put a pistol shrimp in them because they'd be like snap, snap, snap all night, you know. Wait a minute. What happened? It moved. I've been making sure to like your videos because the view to like ratio is off. I appreciate that. YouTube is toying around with turning the like dislike feature off. My channel, as a viewer of other YouTube channels, they have turned mine off. The like button is gone for me. Like I can't even like a video at all, or other people's comments. I can't like them either. There is no thumbs up button. YouTube's always toying around with stuff on the background, but I do appreciate it. If you see that like button, smash it. At one of my truck meets 25 years ago, a person in our group ran their mouth at one of the locals with a stock-looking GSX. Oh, that was a mistake. Got together a $300 purse, and our guy got smoked. Yeah. People underestimate the tuner cars of that era. And look, I've never been like a tuner car guy. I appreciate all of them. I've had slammed trucks on airbags. I've had lifted trucks with 600 horsepower diesels and a 6-speed, you know. I've had V8 pony cars. I had a convertible Mustang GT that I built a 331 stroker in. I had a 500 horsepower Ford F-150 with a twin screw blower. I like them all. But I've never had a high horsepower tuner car. And I told my wife for years that my dream car was a Gen 2 or Gen 3 Viper. That was what I wanted. But do you realize how expensive it is to upkeep a Viper? Just a brake job on a Viper is like $1,100 just for the parts. But anyway, it would be really cool to have like a really nicely done GSX turbo with a built motor, high boost, 6-speed, all-wheel drive. Bruh. I mean, not only is it an 11-second car, but they look great too. And they're fast. And people underestimate them. How much do you think I could possibly make if I set up the tanks with a custom aquascape, custom all-in-one baffle kit, ready to rock and roll, just need to add water and salt? I have no idea. I am not in that industry of selling those together. I can tell you that it is not easy to market that type of thing, and shipping is a monster. You would have to be in love with doing it to continue doing it, because I don't think you're going to make that much money. Let's see. Yeah, Gwen talking about you could have had a fish tank for your Barbie house. Yeah, they are about that small. Just a tank headboard goes from one side all the way across to the other side. My wife is shaking her head. Yeah, so thanks for that.
When you upgrade that one.
When I upgrade this one, this is going to be the new headboard. Oh, see what just happened? So yeah, when we put the whatever we're going to do here, 400 or whatever I can fit in this spot to be a bigger tank, then this is going to become the headboard for the bed, and we will just be able to sit there and look up at the fish like this and see their butthole.
Okay.
It just came to me. That's the view that we'll have. You know, bottom of the fish. If feeding frozen food, what should we do to filter out just the food? The easiest thing to do is to get a brine shrimp net. You can get those online for scooping brine shrimp out of things. It's a very fine mesh net. Put your frozen food in there. Pour RODI water over the frozen after it's already thawed. So just thaw it out in some tank water. Pour that through the net to capture the thing, and then a little bit of RODI water to rinse it. That's good enough. Me, personally, with my tank in the situation that my tank is in now, I don't rinse my food. It just goes in the tank. I thaw it out in some tank water and pour it in. But my tank, the nutrients are good where they are, so I don't have to worry about it. But if you do need to worry about it, then do that. Gwen says, I had a 68 Mustang 3 on the tree. Nice. I had a 67 Coupe Mustang with the factory 390 drag pack. And I lost custody of it in a divorce. It currently has an oak tree growing up through the middle of it last time I looked, which was many, many years ago. I've let it go, sort of. The fun fact, I had the 390 big block for that car, needed to be rebuilt, but I bought a 331 stroker instead because that was going to be a cheaper rebuild to just get the car rolling. Many years later, I had the 95 Mustang GT and bought the 331 back from the person who then owned it to put into the Mustang GT. It was weird how all that worked out. That car went on to make 625 horsepower on 21 pounds of boost from a Borg Warner S366 turbo and E85. So I built a good motor. It ran with that amount of power for like 5 or 6 years before it finally said that's enough. But cheers on the Eclipse. Love that one. R32, 95 RX-7, 96 Super. Yeah, those were the kings for sure. Street legal Baja build. That'd be fun. Sleeping under the ocean. Yeah, John. And Kimberly says, and if it leaks, you'll get very wet. Kimberly, if you ever mention one of my tanks leaking again, I might ban you from the platform. Do not give me that juju. Oh my gosh. I'm just kidding. My doggone eye is still doing the twitchy thing. It's been like 2 weeks, you guys. So anyway, at this point, the stream usually slows down a little bit. So we're just hanging out now. You know, I think we've answered most people's questions that are here now. Don't you talk about my tanks leaking, Kimberly. Listen, Linda. Yeah, no problem, Josh. I'm happy to do it. I enjoy this thing, man. It's, you know, Sunday afternoon, you know, couple hours. We talk reef tanks and stuff. Twitch is probably caffeine. Oh, it might be. You might be right.
We'll have to start keeping an eye on that, and just out of curiosity, does it do it more like after you have your coffee in the mornings or whatever?
I don't think it does after the coffee. If I'm being completely honest, I think it's a combination of stress and too much screen time. Like I sold my bass boat. I'm rebuilding my grandpa's boat, so I'm not going fishing right now. And we've been putting in a lot of hours working, a lot of hours looking at the phone or the computer and stuff. So I think it's just a combination of stress and screen time and maybe a lack of sleep. Because even though I sleep, like I don't think I sleep, you know? So anyway. I was super sick yesterday and feeling a little sick today, so I'm surprised I made it through. Well, I'm sorry that you weren't feeling good. That sucks. You know, I hope you feel better soon. Lyle says, you know, the invite is still here. Lyle's the one that wants me to come to Canada and go fishing with him.
Yeah.
I want to, man. I have to get a passport. I would love to come up there and go out with you and fish for a couple days over a long weekend or something. No way your 5-gallon just cracked right now. Please tell me that is not true and you're joking. I hope that that you're joking. My 60 lucky freshwater bust right on my bed 12 years ago. Dang. How's your potassium? That could cause muscle spasms. Be sure to check all your parameters as well. I just had blood work done a couple days ago. It's probably available now, but I ate. It's probably good. I ate a banana, two bananas this week. You know. Fishing trip and an Ants Canada collab. Passport time. That would be cool, man. It would be awesome. But I don't think Ants Canada even has a clue who I am. You guys should go to the Ants. Don't do it like all at once, but go to the Ants Canada YouTube channel and comment down below that if he needs help with questions about his saltwater tank, that he should ask me. And then you tag my YouTube channel. It puts me on his radar, and then I get on his channel with his millions of subscribers, and Bob's your uncle. Don't go crazy. Just a few of y'all go do that, okay? Anyway, let's see. You sent away an ICP test for yourself. Yeah, I probably should. Wait a minute. Don't buy any Red Sea tanks. I would not. Yeah, I know a lot of people like Red Sea, but too many of those tanks have popped. How do you feel about green Acan Lords on the same rock as candy cane? Candy cane Acans? So candy cane. Okay, so first, the hobby is still calling these corals acans, but they're not. They've been reclassified. I think what you're talking about are Micromusa lordhoensis. Acan lords are still a thing, but it's not something we see a lot of in the hobby. They're a bigger polyp thing. Most of what we get that people call acan is actually a Micromusa. That said, they can pretty much touch. They can be in a garden together. It's usually not much of a problem at all. Now, candy cane coral is not Micromusa or acan. That's a different species completely, and I would not have those touching with the Micromusas. Scolies need to be by themselves. Now, they can be by themselves with multiples of themselves, but they don't need to be near anything else. Larry says, what kind of boat? I work for a marine electronics company and also have a small boat. That's pretty cool. What kind of electronics company, just out of curiosity? So it is a 14-foot wooden John boat that my great uncle built in 1980 for my grandfather to run the Louisiana bayous and backwater. It had a 20 horsepower Mercury 2-stroke on it for years. I just went and bought a broken Mercury 25. So I'm taking all the crap off the 25, which is a 10-year newer motor. I'm going to Frankenstein them into one motor because my motor has a good power head and lower unit. That motor did not have a good power head or lower unit, but it had a $300 Mercury prop on it. And so anyway, I'm smashing them together. I'm going to make one good 25, and then I'm going to take all the other parts to make a OK20 that has been rebuilt, sell that one, keep the 25 for myself, put it on the John boat. It's going to be basically built for saltwater marsh fishing. We're basically done with the stream now, so we're just kind of hanging out for the next 10 minutes. It's going to be built for saltwater marsh fishing. So it's going to have a Helix 7, which I already have in the back for navigation and mapping. I'm going to put an Explorer 9 up in the front with 360 mega so that I can get a picture all the way around the boat. And Minn Kota Tarova kayak version, the 36-inch Minn Kota Tarova on the front for spot lock and all that stuff. Sea deck all on the inside of the whole thing, painted. It should run mid-30s or so. So yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty cool boat.
I had clarifying stuff about that.
Okay, yep. I'll get to Phillips in just a sec. So if you guys want to see the boat build and all of that stuff, I have another YouTube channel. It's called Reef Rookies Goes Fishing. So if you want to go check that channel out, subscribe and follow the journey of that stuff that I do in my off time, building this boat and things. I uploaded a short yesterday talking about the motor. So if you want to go check that out, go over there, subscribe to that channel, and get to know me a little bit more. Now, Philip says, not candy canes. I know what those are. I was told they were candy cane acans. They look like acans, but have a stem a little bit. That might actually... My cat just knocked down the aquarium tongs. You guys want to see the offending beast? Come here, cat. The offending beast. There you go. Look at the screen, ma'am. Thank you very much. She was not happy about that, no. But anyway, yeah. I don't know, Philip. If you want to send me some pictures of the corals you're talking about, I'd like to take a look at them. You can email logan@reefrookies.com or find me on Facebook and stuff. I'll take a look. Let's see. Larry says, fish finders, radar, plotters. I work for the manufacturer. Oh, cool. Weld says RC content. I am not getting back into RC. People keep trying to get, my wife said, shh. People keep trying to get me to start 3D printing airplanes and stuff and get back into it. But I do not need another hobby. I got rid of those hobbies because I couldn't concentrate on the ones that I really like, which is fish tanks and fishing. And now I've taken up bait making, 3D printing, and I'm still playing Minecraft every now and then too. And I want to lift my Pathfinder. I don't think my wife wants me to do that because she drives it. Yeah, she said no.
I mean, you can if you want to order.
She said, I can if I want. You were there. You heard it. Ha ha. Let's see. Screw-on light bracket wasn't on good. It tipped and cracked on. Oh, no. Dang. I am sorry about that. I hope you're able to go get another tank and you know, get your things fixed up. Garmin is our competition. Yeah, I'm not getting Garmin stuff. I'm getting Humminbird Electronics because I already have one. It's just going to link in and work together. So I might as well stick with them because some things are expensive. Humminbird Electronics, Minn Kota, Tarova, Trolling Motor. Yeah, I'm not putting Garmin anything on the boat. It's good stuff, just really expensive. Thanks for all the help. My tank loves to remove nitrate, so I'm stuck dosing a ton of Neo. You can make your own, and this is going to be it. And we're going to call the stream right here, everybody. You can make your own nitrate solution from sodium nitrate or potassium nitrate, and you can find out how to do that by going to my website, reefrookies.com, education, reefing insights. Look for the one that talks about DIY ways to save money. You can order everything you need off of Amazon to make your own nitrate solution, and all the info is in that spot. Anyway, we're going to call it here, everybody. It's been 3 hours. It's 4 o'clock. I've had 3 cups of coffee. I have to get rid of 3 cups of coffee. And I need to walk the dog and get ready for dinner and say hi to the cat again and other various things. So thank you all for joining us this Sunday. We do this every Sunday from 1 to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you have never been here before and you're not subscribed to the channel, definitely do subscribe because we do all kinds of reef keeping content. Join the Facebook group, Discord, TikTok, Instagram, any of those other things you want to do. And we'll see you over there. I'm tired. All right, bye.